You know, I love this business, Ibou, because it moves in mysterious ways. You know, you never know when the houses are going to go up. You never know when they're going to go down. Um, we had plans to do other things today, which we'll not comment on because they are top secret until folks are able to see them. Those plans changed. I wanted to do a Hulbert House show. You suddenly had some free time, and it made all the sense in the world to tick two boxes at once, kill two birds with one stone, bring back hanging with Hulbert here. Very late notice. We give the people about 6 or 7 minutes to to file in here. We have no thumbnail, but we still have a great house nonetheless. Ibou, how are you this evening, afternoon, wherever we're at?
I'm all right. It doesn't get more pro wrestling than this, you know. There hasn't been a
Yep.
hanging with Hulbert in a long time. You know, we could have really popped the number here and drawn a big house and promoted this shit. But of course, you give people, 7 minutes to get ready and rush home and you know what I mean, pop it on their TV screens and whatnot. But that's just the business, baby. That's the beauty of the business. I'm doing all right today. Kind of cranky, but sometimes that's the best content. Sometimes that's the best.
It is.
Maybe I'll lash out at someone in the chat. You never know.
It's interesting. Like, we generally, I think we're kind of a toxic friendship in some ways. In that, like, I think we're both most entertained by one another when like the other one's mad. You know.
When you snapped on Late Night Grin, I was like pumping my fists. I was like, "Yeah, get him! Fucking kick his ass!" I'm cheering. I'm pumping my fist and shit.
Well, because I soak a lot of that up, right? Like, generally,
Right.
I'll save that for private.
Exactly. It was just glorious to see you just kick the shit out of somebody in their live chat.
Yeah,
I want.
it's an interesting time. It is an interesting time.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch Dynamite. I only saw the opening segment, and I saw clips on Twitter, and that's because I was watching a different piece of AEW content yesterday.
You
But
were.
yeah, but nevertheless, I'm here. Wrestling is wrestling, and it's going, and I'm here to talk about it.
Dynamite was it was like exactly what Dynamite's become, where like it's like a roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every segment, you have a different feeling, and by the end of it, you recap the show, and you're like, damn, there was some really good stuff on that show. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the way it's paced and the way things are placed, you don't enjoy it as much as you do when you actually reflect on it. It's a
Right.
really strange show, man. There's good stuff on
Mm-hmm.
it, and the main event was really good match.
Right. One of those things where it's in the moment, you're like, I'm not having that much fun, and then like,
Yeah.
you know, when it's all said and done, you're like, no, that main event was good. This is good. That was good. But that's where like pacing and tone comes into play when it comes to putting together a wrestling show.
Yes, there's a moment in the show, and we'll move from Dynamite after this. 'Cause again, you haven't seen it, but it's like
Mhm.
there's a moment in the show where they go from Jericho doing his shtick to a DG video where he's like super serious, and he's talking about the crash and all that happened to him and how he wants to get back to who he was and so on and so. And then it cut to like the Acclaimed charging into the GM's office or whatever, and it was like, good God, man, like this is kind of dizzying for me. I struggle with that tonal roller coaster. Whatever.
That's amazing. You know what I did watch the other day, Joe? Like maybe 2 nights ago? For whatever reason, I watched the January 4th, 1999 edition of WCW Monday Nitro.
Hmm.
Yes, in the Georgia Dome with the scheduled main event of Kevin Nash versus Hulk Hogan. Iconic episode, Joe Hulbert. A
One
show
word
that,
for it. Yeah.
you know, Shivani informed us that Mick Foley won the title from the other place, and that surely that put butts in seats, and he said so sarcastically, you know. And a show where Goldberg was accused of stalking Miss Elizabeth, and he was in police custody throughout the show,
Oh, it's awful, bro.
and he had to
God, it's
answer
bad.
questions. You know what's funny about it, Joe? That subplot that we kept cutting back to almost worked, as stupid as it was. I thought it almost if Goldberg was able to make it into the Georgia Dome and just kill everybody in sight, they would have almost gotten away with absolute booking malpractice in that main event. Because at least these fans would have been like, all right, that sucked, and we got fucking swerved here. But Bill Goldberg's still our hope. He's still the light at the end of the tunnel. He's still the shining hope in this promotion. He's still the guy that's going to make it all right, make it okay. He's going to be the guy that's impervious to the bullshit. He's going to stop these assholes who are just running amok in this main event scene. But no, he was not impervious to the bullshit. He also just got tased and handcuffed, and then they spray painted his head. And it was just like, all right, what's the point of any of this?
I haven't watched yet the new Who Killed WCW doc, because as embarrassing as this is to say, I've kind of concluded this is probably the last swing when it comes to WCW content of this scale, probably. And so I'm going to like save it because I'm a deeply troubled individual, and hearing Eric Bischoff in documentary form explain how he made Nitro happen like he's never told it before will always pop me. So
it's so you're saving it for a rainy day where you just kind of fucked and you're like, all right, let me watch this WCW.
I've watched the first episode of the Monday Night Wars documentary. Yeah, probably like 15 times, right?
You know, it's funny. I just watched it back like 2 weeks ago.
It's sick, dude. Like, my thing with those documentaries is like, the historical accuracy is kind of whatever to me because I've watched it. So like, I'll feel how I feel about that, you know?
Right. You just like the clips and the narration.
The style, like the A&E did one about the NWO. I don't know if you've ever seen it. He's probably my favorite wrestling doc, even though like he's full of shit because of the style. Like Bischoff, he gets introduced to us by like he's like walking his dog. Like, let me tell you about a time.
That's the thing. I truthfully, if you're not familiar with any of this content, any of this time, and the historical facts, don't watch this for the express purpose of finding out what happened. These things are best consumed as entertainment if you already know what the fuck is going on.
Exactly.
Genuinely, you know, it's always funny. My favorite thing is when like some fucking like WWE talking head pundit is just like in the documentary, like a Sam Roberts or some shit, or some fuck from the bump, or even worse, when like Miz is commenting on these things. Like,
even worse, it's crazy.
Miz is in Monday Night Wars documentary, and he's like, "They have Lex Luger now? He left my team? Like, go fuck yourself," you know? But it's always funny. It's just always funny. Like certain people's approach to the documentaries, it kills me. Like in Monday Night War, Punk will just be like, "Yeah, I mean, it was just cutting edge. I mean, look, WWE is just doing corny stuff, and I mean, these guys are being real." And then look at like Miz, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, I loved Tonka." And it's just like, all right, okay.
It's a great story, like genuinely a great story. I think I watched a clip the other day. I don't know who it was. It wasn't like an asshole or a takesman. Someone did a clip and they were trying to explain why it's not fair to compare Dynamite to Nitro. And they were talking about how Tony would never have access to like Hogan, Hall, and Nash. And you know what I think is really interesting is how much people misunderstand the wrestling war of yesteryear. And what I mean by that is the reason it's not fair to compare Nitro and Dynamite is because Nitro wasn't an upstart. It was the new flagship of a promotion that was rooted in the NWA, which was a whole part of the country. That was their wrestling. You know, it's like,
yes,
it amazes me how many people miss that. They're like, how comes Nitro could compete? Because, brother, they were standing on the shoulders of a promotion that had been around for years. WCW always did decent TV ratings. No one went to the shows before the Nitro era. But they always had good TV ratings. There was a big audience for that style of wrestling. And I think people lose sight of that now. I think they just think of it as Monday Night Wars, right? It's like a weird.
You know what it is? It's because like Nitro, the show itself, started in what, October of '95, I want to say, and it's almost like in some people's brains that's the beginning of WCW.
Exactly.
Like, it's very much not. You know, Hulk Hogan himself was there for like a whole year and changed prior to the creation of Nitro.
Yeah. I think, in fact, for a lot of the real freaks, WCW peaks before that, right? I think Hogan coming in for a lot of people is like the end of the
right
of the good old days.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, tons of people point to how like '94 was going great, and then like Hogan kind of came in, and his friends came in, and the trajectory of the company changed and shit. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Our
that's
friend
hard.
Brainbuster, who you once
What's up?
abused,
Yeah, he's a piece of
he's
shit. He's just a
he,
fucking dickhead. Like what an asshole.
he's
Suggesting that
blocked me.
suggesting that Tommy Billington should get signed by AEW. Go fuck
Yeah,
yourself,
God
Buster.
forbid.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
The he pops me here by bringing up Vader's like carny bullshit and like the way he does interviews.
Mhm.
And I'm going to use this to pivot into it. I recently saw a tweet. They were commenting on someone being political about their wrestling, like not wanting to do jobs. I'm not going to name who it was because it's pretty obvious. There's a handful of guys, right? And it was like, bro, guys need to learn. Like, you can just lay down and it ain't a big deal. And their profile picture was Vader. It put me huge, bro. Vader he wasn't gonna lose. Fuck that.
Bro,
No way.
most Vader jobs come with that like 3.1 kick out and like what the fuck?
Cool.
Like I lost.
Yeah,
Keiji
man.
Muto in the 91 G1 gets like a career defining victory against them, right? And like people are literally throwing their seat cushions in the air in celebration. It's this joyous occasion. Brother, Vader stood up to his feet before Keiji Muto did in that match conclusion. He's up like, oh, what the fuck, huh? Muto's selling like he fucking died and shit,
My favorite in the olden days
Mm.
was the boys that would make money in Japan when they would always do the thing of they couldn't job in America because of the Japanese photographers. That whole bit is
Oh,
like my
it's so
absolute
sick.
favorite.
It's so sick. I was talking to Rob yesterday about he's expressing because he watches a lot of 80s. He's been watching a lot of 80s TV wrestling.
Yeah.
And he was expressing his frustration at the non-finishes. And I said, brother, you need to just crack this equation here. If there are stars in this match will not get a finish.
Yeah.
That is your equation. Don't go to a fucking Mid-Atlantic episode and be like, oh my God, Ron Garvin and Ric Flair? Let's go. And expect it. You're not going to get a finish.
No.
You're not. Brother, listen. Your drawing power, your relevance, your pay, all these things were tied to how tough you were perceived to be. And that's affected by you losing. That's just how it was. And so people were like hyper protective of themselves. There's this really awesome interpromotional tag match, All Japan versus New Japan, from like the mid 80s. Off the top of my head, I'm struggling to remember who was in it, but I know Masa Saito's in it, Riki Choshu's in it. I want to say it's Masa Saito and Riki Choshu versus Genichiro Tenryu and Jumbo Tsuruta, which is stacked. That's a stacked
crazy.
fucking match. The crowd is electric. There are some incredible exchanges here. And you know what the finish is, Joe Hulbert?
Double count out.
Double count out, baby. Double fucking count, baby.
Yeah.
Double fucking count out.
It's just the way it was, bro. I mean, it's. I think there's just it takes some adjusting to. I think is the key. It's
Yes.
like
You have to know what it. Yeah, exactly.
when did WCW, or I guess it was WCW, but when did they do Power Hour? That was like 1989, right? Power Hour, I think. I want to say
that sounds accurate.
And that was the show where the boys would get, to give folks some perspective on how crazy it was, the boys would actually get a bump. They'd give them a bonus for doing a job because the idea was we're going to do something cutting edge and actually have two contracted wrestlers wrestle each other and we're going to do finishes. So
yes,
we'll pay you extra because we're asking you to do the unthinkable and lose on national television.
I think there's a Ron Simmons Ricky Steamboat match on a Power Hour. That's like really awesome.
Oh, I believe that.
It's pretty sick. Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Ron Simmons, we all love Ron Simmons. He's another beast in that regard. Remember, he just no showed when he was supposed to drop the bell. Remember that?
That's so awesome. I thought we both thought that Chad Gable didn't show up to TV this Monday, and I was like, good for you.
We're having so much fun.
Listen, man, if this was 94 and Chad Gable's deal is up and didn't get his shit right, he would just no-show TV until it was time. But then again, if this was 94 Vince, he would have just wrote him off the fucking storyline and like, all right, then go fuck yourself, So
I saw the other day, I was on YouTube and like one of the suggested videos was that extremely strange, complete like one time in history moment where Vince like says farewell to Randy Savage.
Oh yeah, it's so weird.
That I think there should be a documentary about just that whole thing. Like the fact that he did that, and it was like it is a complete outlier in WWF history. Like
Yeah.
he never did that
He's
ever again or before.
he's like sincerely like he's like sincere and warm and like gracious, and it's like
Yeah.
what the fuck? Like he's like, we thank him for everything he's done and we appreciate him and we wish him the best of luck. And it's like normally the playbook is you don't exist once you're gone. Even though I will say, interestingly enough, it's no one really, I mean, I don't say no one talks about it, but that's a subtle thing that they've undone recently, Joe. Now now like when they talk about like historical records, for example, like the Intercontinental title reigns and this and that, like they'll mention on commentary Chris Jericho, and they will mention Daniel Bryan, which is convenient because he's not Bryan Danielson, but they'll say Daniel Bryan when talking about Roman's reign. Sasha Banks is in video packages and things of that nature. But there was a time when you know it just as well as I do. Like you just didn't exist once you're gone. You just did not exist. You were deleted out of everything.
There was a DVD when Kurt was in TNA. They did a DVD release that was like top 50 WWE. It was like something like that, and he was like not on it, or he was crazy low. And it was like, yeah, man, that's how they treat you when you're gone. Like you're out of the official company law, right? That's why.
Yes.
That's why Triple H in company law is like God, dude. That's
your relevance, and that's the thing, man. When WWE decides what history is, that's a dangerous game, because if they don't like you, then you didn't do shit in the business. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's actually Kurt's an interesting example because he's actually benefited from the very real TNA nostalgia that's emerged. And that's been really interesting. There's a generation that you could tell as kids did watch Spike TV and did watch TNA. And I think you see that with the, I know people have fun with the perk angle stuff. I get it, like it's a bit, but people do actually fondly remember Kurt's TNA stuff. Like people were watching, I know you were TNA Mecca, right?
Yes, I was. It's funny, Joe. The beginning of my time watching TNA borderline coincides with Kurt Angle arriving. And what makes it even funnier? It wasn't even a case of I heard Kurt Angle's going to TNA, let me watch this. It was literally just, what the fuck is this wrestling? And then like a week later, Kurt Angle's there, and I was like, oh shit, what the hell? And funny enough, when I first watched TNA, like the big thing that struck me was, oh my god, all these wrestlers that I like remember seeing like not that long ago. Like I saw Scott Steiner, and I was like, I remember him. And who else? The Team 3D. I was like, oh, that's the Dudley Boys, and people like that. And from a wrestling standpoint, I remember just thinking, holy fuck, this wrestling is like so much better. It's so advanced. Look at this. Like the X Division blew my mind. But above all these people, not to be cliche, but above all these people stood one man, Samoa Joe. I was like, this guy is awesome. This guy is incredible. So I was a big fan of his. And the funny thing also, one thing about my childhood as a wrestling fan, Joe, is I always just gravitated towards like mid-carders, and I always like wanted them to do more than they did. And so like when I would watch SmackDown as a kid, right, I always like wanted Tajiri to just be a main event guy. I just did. I wanted Bill Kidman to get a main event push. Like,
oh yeah.
Here's a funny one. I thought Maven was sick. I was like, oh, Maven's awesome. I don't know what it is. I just liked all the.
That's correct, dude. You're not the weird one, but that is the correct way to watch wrestling. Like objectively speaking, it is the correct way to watch professional. If you're a professional wrestling fan and you're interested exclusively in like the top 3 stars, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
Yes, you gotta look down to that C tier, that D tier, and find those gems of performers.
Yeah.
I thought, oh my god, here's a funny one. I was a Funaki guy. I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. This guy fucking cool.
That's a little bit far.
It is. He was like Funaki SmackDown #1. I was like, hell yeah, hell fucking yeah. I was the most relevant guys that I liked were like. I said this before. Bob Van Dam, Undertaker, guys like that, Benoit, But yeah. So anyway, I watched TNA and I'm seeing all these dudes and I'm like, man, this company's awesome. And pretty much within like 3 months of being a TNA fan, I was like, this is better than WWE. This is way better than WWE.
I mean, it was, right? In fairness, like people would say what they want now, but 2006 WWE is disgusting, dude. It's terrible.
No, it's nasty. It's nasty. It's like, it's such a confused product. who was it? Somebody posted it might have been Darren. And this is before '06, but it still speaks to like the same thing. He posted a screenshot of like when Bischoff brings the lesbians onto Raw and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was just like, what is this? And what it was the company is chasing ghosts. They lost Steve Austin. They lost The Rock. They're like, what's going on? The ground is falling from underneath them. And on Raw, the solution was more Shock TV. I don't fucking know. And they're trying to chase a previous hot period. And they're doing it with even more like shock jock stuff. But it just didn't work because it was like, bro, can I just get some wrestling? You know what I mean? And that's how people felt.
Yeah.
And yeah. And so like you go to '06 Raw. It's nuts, Joe. Like the top heel stable for months was a group of male cheerleaders. You know? The fucking Spirit Squad. If you go back to the actual TV, like they were pushed so hard. They were kicking the shit out of
all
everything.
over it. Yeah, absolutely.
It took Shawn Michaels and Triple H, mid-2000s Triple H, to stop these men. You know, Vince McMahon is making people kiss his ass. You know, he's making out with Candice Michelle backstage. Just Shelton Benjamin's getting beat up by his fake kayfabe fat mother on television. It's just an insane product.
It was terrible, and it could have been different, dude. The TNA had some pieces. Like, look, I'm not saying they could have been number one, but it feels like everyone focuses on the later years. But that '06, that was their fucking chance to really go for it. Well, that was
I agree.
That was when the audience actually was ready, I think. Like, they were ready to see them play. By the time you get to 2010, people have made them wind up.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fucking Hogan. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just.
So, you know what's funny about that, Joe, is this is how deep in I was. When TNA would do stupid shit in like '07, '08, it just wasn't stupid to me. I'm like, oh, nah, man, it's TNA. Like, this makes sense. You know, I'm like a kid, and I'm like this all just makes sense. It's not that WWE bullshit, you know? And I admitted to myself that WWE was a superior product in '08 because by that point, it sincerely was. '08 was a good year for the company, creative. Yeah. And I was like, all right, it is better, but I still like TNA more. Like, that was what I would say to myself, right? Still like TNA more. And '09 at the beginning, I remember being a mess for TNA. And then they got on, if you go remember, they got back on track at the end of the year. You know, they got back on track a little bit. AJ wins the belt. They do the 3-way rematch from Unbreakable. You know, fucking Desmond Wolfe is there. Nigel McGuinness.
Sick. There's 2 months where it's fucking awesome at the end of 2009. It's awesome.
Yeah. I vaguely remember Bobby showing up and just vaguely pointing forward and then never appearing again for months.
Okay, it's actually funny, isn't it? So he shows up at Lockdown because TNA would always do those teasers of like former world champ is coming in. And it was Lockdown '09, and there was a lot of buzz that it was JBL, which fucking rules because if you remember, JBL retired.
He retired. Yeah.
Exactly, right? But it was, of course, Bob Lash, and the big debate was, does Bob Lashley count the ECW belts? Like, you know, that whole thing. So anyways, Bob Lash, and to your point, he pointed.
And it was a really funny. It's a funny point too. Like it's kind of like he's kind of standing at an angle, and he's just like, ha ha. Yeah.
Right, and that's April, and then in July at the infamous Victory Road 2009, which is one of the worst pay-per-views in history of wrestling.
Oh hell yeah!
They announced that
Kevin Nash kicked the shit out of AJ Styles. Yeah.
Yes, and that might be the best match on the show, ironically. So
2.25.
So Bob Lashley is announced on that show as an official signee. And they do this video where he's on like a radio show talking about how he wants to fight Brock in an MMA fight. Because, of course, that's the best thing to promote if you're TNA. Then he comes in. He works with Rhino. He beats Joe at Bound for Glory. And then he has that feud, which I'm sure you remember when I bring up the Scott Steiner feud. Yes.
Yep.
That's the feud that closes Lashley's 2009. But it's a weird one because then when Hogan and Bischoff come in, he like immediately leaves. It's very strange. A lot of stuff changed, right?
I was so baffled. And then
it was weird.
They had their own handpicked guys. Like, and here's the thing though, the guys that they chose. This is how fucked I was, Joe. I was locked in on everyone. They bring in Mr. Kennedy. I was like, finally, Mr. Kennedy's gonna get the push he deserves. You know, because I was a Kennedy guy. What's my man's name? D'Angelo De Niro. Oh, I thought he was gonna be The Rock. I thought he was gonna be The Rock. I was like, oh man, this guy's the next in the business. He's the next big thing. You know, if you guys are enjoying,
dude, he could talk.
He would do that thing like, I'm the Pimtacular Spectacular, and he'd do all that. So it was he had this kind of, he was trying to start this rapport with Christy Hemme in interviews and stuff. I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I vaguely remember him always being disgusted on television when he was with Orlando Jordan. That was something. Do you remember that?
Oh God, the Orlando Jordan. I forgot they brought him in. Yeah. Because
Yeah, like,
he was on that Hogan. Remember that Hogan tour in Australia? He was on that, and they brought in a bunch of guys that worked that tour, and he was one of them.
is there footage of that tour?
There's some. So they actually filmed it like professionally, but I don't think it ever got released on DVD. But there's some fan cams out there. Yeah.
You're a sick fuck. I feel like you would have bought it if it was on DVD.
Oh, I definitely would have bought it, dude. God rest his soul. Umaga. That's like his last. That's his last run, right? That's his last thing he did, I think.
I remember reading about this tour on the internet and seeing pictures, and I'm like, they did Flair Hogan?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck?
It's pretty sad. It's like, it's just, it's sad. Yeah, the tour didn't draw. Someone's chats, they said it's true, it didn't draw. I remember there was a story. Umaga was, because obviously, like, Umaga was, to say he was going through it would be an understatement, but he was such a natural athlete. I'm sure he still looked good in the ring because that's what some of the guys can pull off. And so I think Bischoff, I want to say it was Bischoff, like approached him, was like, do you want to, be part of this TNA thing we're doing? And Umaga was like, no, I'm a WWE guy. I'll be back there soon. And it's like, it's kind of, it's sad, right? Like,
so he basically just assumed like, I'll get my job back and we'll figure this thing out.
And that was the thing with famously Yoko. They always try to get Yoko to do something with WCW, and he was always just like, I'm a WWF guy. It's like,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that NOIE family, that just NOIE Fatu family, like that was just kind of their mindset in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, just historically, they were fed guys.
I remember Solo posting like a picture with the AEW logo a couple of years back, and then he was signed to WWE like right away. He got his contract after that,
What's sad? At that time, because AEW was so lacking in like big men. I remember I saw that picture and I was like, yeah, I was like, sign him. I was locked in.
There was buzz on. Wasn't people saying he could be like one of Cody's TNT guys? I think.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I was locked in. We did end up seeing that match on Raw like in 2023.
Right. How crazy is that actually to think about? Forget the match on Raw. Those two would share like one of the most infamous moments of the era, bro. When he and the Spike at Mania, that's like a moment that will live forever.
That is infamous.
That is actually fucking insane to think about, right?
Yes. Imagine telling somebody in 2019 that. So Triple H is going to take over WWE Creative. Cody Rhodes is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania against the heel Roman Reigns, and Cody's going to get screwed by the latest NOIE family kid.
You can tell wrestling is back because I've talked about this on the Late Night Green a little bit, but the timeline is returning to a normal, recognizable pattern. It's like guys are actually having professional wrestling runs where they come in and out in a couple years,
Oh, it's awesome.
We're so back, dude. We lost that for like 15 years.
Yeah, that's normal. You should not stay in one company for more than 3 years unless you're being pushed at a main event level.
Yeah.
Or you've officially given up and you just like collecting checks. If you're not in either of those phases, you should always be looking to just leave to go to different places and level up.
Dude, look at Ethan Page, bro. It's fucking incredible. Like, I like Ethan Page more than you, but neither of us are like, neither of us have got t-shirts or exactly. But like, it just sometimes you take a jump and it gives you a little extra juice. I'm not saying he's going to be the main event of WrestleMania. He's not, but he's got something going for himself just because he made the leap. There's something to be said for it. And it goes in both directions, folks, to be clear.
It's insane. I am. Yeah. Here's one, dude. Fucking, there's that whole deal with Ethan Page, but I mean, my goodness. Did you see the quarter he popped? His quarter was the high point, and it was over 800,000 viewers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's so much power in wrestling and just literally jumping. Yeah. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're just jumping to a new spot, there's interest of some kind because it's just a new thing. Look at TNA itself. TNA is semi-collaborating with NXT, and like people care about this thing despite no one giving a fuck about this TNA rebrand.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to get into this TNA rebrand, and I wanted to we wanted to do a whole bit on it, and people wouldn't even come to the damn shows. You know, like no one cared. And here it's like NXT, TNA and NXT, what? And it's like it's generated the bro. They topped last week's number, which I already thought was like an aberration. Last week's rating, I was like 705,000 viewers. What the fuck? And I'm thinking, all right, maybe it's the sexy red gimmick. And then they beat that by like like 63,000 viewers this week. You know, so wrestling is weird in that way, man. You just make a jump and you're just seen as like it just raises your stock, your profile.
It's why a lot of the analysis and stuff that we're like, we kind of have to do, right? It's part of the gig. But it's why a lot of that stuff is actively, it's not really got any purpose, you know? Like, we can sit here for an hour and talk about how Ricochet in AEW would ultimately land in the same spot, which honestly, most likely, I think he would if you asked me to give my honest opinion on it. But all it would take is one match with Will Ospreay on the first Dynamite. He's there, and all of a sudden, you know, he catches fire, boom, boom, and the next thing you know, he's got this belt or he's doing that. And it's like, shit changes really quick, dude. Like, there's a million and one examples of it if you look at the landscape right now. It's just it's always hard to predict, but you have to take that leap to find out, right? That's the gamble.
You know what's funny about this is the fact that a 25-minute Ricochet Ospreay match on Dynamite would 100% get a day 5.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
it would get a day 5. Oh shit, Joe! We have a Fightful update on Dijak. Let's elaborate.
Oh fuck, I've been waiting.
Oh man, let's dig into this one.
You're a complete prick for putting me in this position.
Dijak's contract has ended the last month of time remaining on his deal, and now you know more about the negotiations. Fightful Select's Corey Brennan has learned in speaking with sources close to the situation that Dijak is being rep by Paragon Talent Group, co-founded by Dean Mojo Mutahdi, which is the former Mojo Rawley.
Oh, yeah.
And Stephen K. in negotiations with WWE. Brennan has also learned that positive preliminary negotiations have begun between the two parties, but there's yet to be an offer on the table. If Dijak were not to re-sign with WWE, we have also been told that there's extensive interest for the Monday Night Raw talent outside of WWE, both in and outside the wrestling world. Creatively, we have not heard of any immediate plans for Dijak on Raw, and he was not brought to the June 3rd edition of the show. In recent weeks, Dijak was brought to the shows, but he's only had one sole appearance on Main Event versus Pete Dunne since the draft. In speaking with talent who have worked with Dijak in recent years, Brennan was told that Dijak was always open to advice with younger faces. This is article filler. Hold on, let's see here. He's a nice guy. WWE, you notice he's on social media. WWE's looking to retain him. His contract is supposed to expiring at the end of June. You know what possibly, Joe, is when like you have like a medium scoop, you know, but you gotta get it out there, and so you need to fill the article up. And so like
look, man, you know, God bless him. You can go check that out at Fightful Select. Obviously, Fightful Select gets some great stuff. That's not one that I would be jumping up and down for, but I'm not. It's not for me, is it? It'd be really. I mean, it's not saying that I would be.
I'll tell you what, man. If he gets his deal figured out and he gets on TV, and you're gonna hate me, I think he'll get over.
Oh, I don't.
I'll
be happy. You like seriously, you know me. I don't think he's very good. But you know me well enough to know that if he actually did get over, it would pop me because I'm not that. I'm not spiteful about these things.
Yeah. If it happened, you'd be like, "Oh, God bless." I'll tell you what. I think I'm the only guy in WrestlePeerce that rates Dijak.
Look, we're a very weird, particular bubble. There's a lot of people online that think he's fucking beast. I mean, look, he's not my kind of wrestler, right? Like,
have you heard him cut a promo though? He has a good voice.
Yeah, he tries very hard, doesn't he? Tries very hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
He had that match with Ilya that was like good, but he was good in like a very aggressive way, you know? It was one of those matches you go, this is good, but I mean,
I remember when you saw my rating, you were stroking your chin and you're like, you liked it that much, huh? And
like I am now.
Yeah, you kind of, it was like kind of like, really? And I was like, yeah, I thought it was awesome. And you're like, No, that's interesting. I thought it was good. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good.
That's the beauty of the game, brother. Right? I mean, it is what it is. It's like whenever you have like an outside take, I think because Twitter's everyone's so like aggressive on Twitter.
Everybody's
They
so
think,
mad.
yeah, it's like when I say like someone will your stuff annoys me, I'm not like angry about it. I'm just kind of like, yeah, no, whatever, right? Like if you like it, fuck, well, hell, bro. I don't give a shit. I'm doing me.
You know, bro. Here's where it really hits me, and it's like everybody. It kind of makes me sad. Is I'll just see someone give a take where they just think something kind of sucks, and like the quotes are always so aggressive, man. It's always like it's actually da da da, you fucking idiot, or, you piece of shit. I'm like, damn, dude, like.
Yeah, man.
If it's just a guy giving an innocuously dissenting take and it's not aggressive and it's not obnoxious and he's not going into your replies to bother you about it, why do you gotta quote him and curse him out? You know, like what? It kind of makes me uncomfortable in the sense that like I feel like if I just woke up one day and became a curmudgeon, well, more than I am now.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Yeah,
more
right?
so. Yeah, I get you.
If I woke up someday and I just decided I didn't like a lot of the shit that people like anymore, and I just voiced it, it's kind of like scary how quick people would turn on me. I feel like people would just like immediately like, hey man, that fucking backup thing, man, guy, he used to be cool. He's a fucking dickhead now. I'm like, I'm not any different. I just don't like this thing anymore that you like. You know, I don't know.
That's a weird like
It freaks me out. I actually think about it a lot.
Like when you feel this is we're now just in like therapy, people watching, but it makes sense to us, folks.
Yeah.
You sometimes can feel like the perception of yourself change, and it's really weird. It's really fucking weird.
I see it a lot, like, and it makes me think about how a lot of these people's friendships with other people on Twitter, right, is very much based on them just liking the same type of wrestling. And there's nothing, I'm not gonna say, in theory, there's nothing wrong with just gravitating towards like-minded individuals, right? But what kind of freaks me out is like I feel like an anthropologist sometimes. I really observe wrestling Twitter sometimes from a distance. And a lot of these people, their friendships with other people on Twitter, it's so purely based on just that we're on this side and we like this thing.
Right,
we hate that thing. And I know this to be true because a lot of their enemies are completely rooted on it. Just, well, they like this shit and they think this, you know what I mean? And with no depth. And I think about like a lot of my close friends in this space, and even within Russell Pierce, and like my taste and AO's taste overlap like maybe 35 to 40%. And there's tons of wrestling that I really get into that he couldn't give a shit about.
yeah.
And it's like, what does that? Who gives a shit? You know what I mean?
I'm the same way, bro. I think we have some of the best chemistry on Wrestle Furious. It's
right, and yeah, it's just kind of crazy to see, man. I'm scrolling yesterday and I'm seeing people like tweet about how they weren't that into Dynamite, and people are like, well, you're not one of us, and you're this and that, and I'm just like, oh man, that's I don't know, man. It's a pretty scary place here.
yeah, that's why I stay in my own lane, bro. I do speed grin alongs. I fucking, it's chill, man. The Good Brothers law. It's good shit.
Exactly. I tweeted about this. I told you about this in DMs already, but man, I tweeted about the All Japan Korakuen Hall show from last week.
Yep.
No fucking engagement. No one gave a fuck. Maybe 20 likes at best. Like one reply. But you know what? It was peaceful.
It was real music.
Yeah. No one gave a shit, but the people that did give a shit, they're just kind of like, yeah, man. It's really cool what they're doing over there. I was like, hell yeah. And I just high-fived like two guys,
Man, it's wrestling talk. It's like when I talk about WCW, no one gives a fuck. It's like, but I enjoy myself,
Exactly. Brainbuster said Ibou of anthropology.
Yeah, the anthropology line was incredible.
Oh, I outdid myself there, I think.
I think it was good, though.
It took me back to the beginning of my days at Russell Pierce. I mean, not Russell Pierce, wrestling Twitter. Joe, the other day, I just looked back at like my 2021 tweets. No one gave a fuck about what I had to say. It was so awesome.
Doing threads about Anoki and...
Yeah! I found a thread I made on Tatsumi Fujinami.
I remember this, yeah.
6 straight tweets, love of the game, paragraphs every post, pictures accompanying it, clips accompanying some of it. Like maybe 3 total likes. Didn't get paid for it. I tagged a bunch of people at the end of the thread, hoping I'd get some feedback. No one gave a fuck. No one replied.
Who did you tag? Was it people that we could talk about, or was it like Outlaws? Who was it you tagged?
I tagged anybody with like relevance on wrestling. I think I tagged like a guy who's currently known as Suplex on he's big on TikTok now. He used to do YouTube videos. I think he still does YouTube videos. Tyler Williams, but I tagged him. I tagged Montesillo. I tagged like fucking like What Culture people and shit. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody replied. You know, that was my time on wrestling. I remember I did a thread, Joe, on Shinya Hashimoto versus Hiroshi Hase, their 1994 IWGP Championship Classic. And it was such a cheesy thread because I'm posting like entire spots like off my like fucking phone camera, and I'm describing the spots and how they changed the complexion of the match, right? And like I'm analyzing this. It's like my own version of Walking in the King's Road. No one gave a fuck. No one gave a fuck. You know?
You were posting though, brother. You know, that's all you can do, right?
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's just love of the game, you know. I just feel like now everybody's so angry. Now everybody's so militant. Everybody has to feel like they have to fight their fight. Why do you have to fight your
It's
fight?
very serious all the time. It is. You're right.
No one can ever just kind of go like, man, I like this thing that I just saw. It has to be, well, I bet these people fucking are gonna say this about this thing I like, and they're fucking grifting. Why don't you just, I don't know, man. Why don't you just share your joy? If you're comfortable and not insecure in your joy in the wrestling that makes you happy, why don't you just share that and not have to worry so much about what some people may be saying about it, you know?
There you go, folks. There's the conclusion. Share your joy is the conclusion.
Yeah.
We're going to be here for another 40 minutes or so. I have completely ignored our chat for most of this show. I apologize. We literally just hopped in here and like started just talking. So it is what it is. But if you have questions and I've missed them, I apologize. If you put them in the chat now, I'll try to do better. We'll get some questions from the. Now, one thing I say, folks, this is a rule around here. Don't ask about like scoops and stuff because that is the least suited to this place.
Right.
That is like, ask that on like worldwide or some shit. Like, there's no room for us to. I mean, stuff will probably we'll say stuff about, you know, but not like Julie or whatever, right?
Right. Yeah, I'm ready to answer questions. I do want to address one comment.
Yes.
Where is it? Mr. Big Dude said, Ibou, you fight the J fight. No, I don't fight the fight. I share my misery. that J.
You just throw punches. You don't really.
No, I just express myself. It's different. I'm not fighting a broader crusade against groups of people. You know, I'm not. You know, it's a different thing.
I was very nasty to you when he beat Ilya. I was very, very nasty. Very nasty guy.
You were so happy.
I was so fucking happy. And when I watched the match, I was even happier because Dragunov was doing all of his like ticks and stuff, and the people were just kind of sitting there. Jay's throwing the slowest punches in the world, and they're doing yeet.
You know what's so about Jay, Joe? He for current Jay standards, he cut a semi-human promo on Monday.
Good.
Yeah.
I heard Raw was good. I didn't see any of it.
It was a nice show. Chad Gable was a part of the highest drawing segment on the show, and it was white hot.
That's sick. Good for him.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
He's finally getting like an actual run.
He feels like he's becoming a wrestling star.
Good. I mean, it's overdue, right? He's been.
Yeah.
They got called up in 2016, American Alpha.
I've been wanting Chad Gable to be a thing for like nearly a decade. You know. Do you remember when he got a fake run in the King of the Ring like 2019?
Yes, those matches are good. He has a match with fucking Corbin that's like killer, dude. They have a really good match.
I thought it was like the best Corbin match I had seen up to that point.
Yeah. It's wild too, because Gable wasn't like a secret. Like everyone that worked with him in NXT was like, this dude is incredible. And they just kind of, Vince and Co. just kind of sat there and did nothing with it. It's
yeah. It's just fucking remarkable. He should have been this guy for a long time, but I'm very happy he's finally starting to connect with like their crowds, and it's why I'm pretty bullish on him just sticking around and building on that.
Yeah. I don't think either of us get like too married to where a guy goes or does, but in his case, it does feel like it probably makes sense that he just keeps doing what he's doing. To be honest,
correct.
I mean, if he left tomorrow, you and I would be like, oh shit, maybe he can do this or do that, but we'll see.
That's how you know we're adults. You know, like people just make a move to another place. And it's like, all right, good for him. You know? Like,
Don't do me, right? I'm not working with him. I'm gonna.
Ethan Page goes to NXT, and people have to like have like I don't know, like takes on it and stuff.
Yeah, like, to me, it's just part of the business. You just guys move on, man. God bless.
Good for him, man.
Right, this is a good question.
What's
How
up?
did Ibou become a Cody fan?
That's a good question. So when I saw him in Legacy, and even before Legacy, when he was at Hardcore Holly, I thought he was the shits. I thought he fucking sucked. He didn't wear knee pads, and it really freaked me out because like he had those skinny long legs. So I just thought he sucked. I got into Cody Rhodes hilariously in 2013. He was a part of that Rhodes Scholars tag team with Damian Sandow, and I was like, yo, is Cody kind of good? And then if you go back to Money in the Bank 2013, he's in the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. And if you go back to it, it's really funny. They had a SmackDown Money in the Bank match, and they had the Raw one. The Raw one was dubbed the All-Stars Money in the Bank. And the other one was basically like, this is the mid-carders Money in the Bank. But Cody's in that one. And he just has a great run and almost wins it until Sandow gets it from him. And that was the moment in that match. And he was so over. I was like, Cody could be great. And and he had those tag matches with Dustin late in the year in the Shield one. And I was like, I really like Cody Rhodes. And it felt like right when I started to really like Cody Rhodes, they were like, we have an idea for you. We have a gimmick for you. And they get Stardust. And I was like, fuck. And I spent the next 2 years hoping he gets out of that gimmick. He doesn't. He leaves WWE. And I was actually locked in on this whole indie run, Joe. I was coping my way through all those 3 1/4. You know, I was like,
wow.
Yeah. He popped up in TNA. I was like, hell yeah. You know, I was watching his indie matches around the place. I watched this stuff in What Culture Pro Wrestling. His match with Okada at the G1 special in San Francisco, I believe it was. I was real into that. He's playing heel and Brandy Rhodes is cheating and shit. I was like, man, Cody Rhodes fucking rocks. You know, his matches with Juice in Japan. I was into it all. While everybody was calling him the 3-star savior and all that shit, I was like, I think Cody's sick. I don't know. And then it all fully came together in 2019 when he just decided, what if I was just a babyface? You know? And I'm on record, Joe, in my group chats with friends where I said in 2019, Cody Rhodes is the best babyface in the world.
Wow, you were ahead of the curve, brother.
Yes, I was. I thought he was the best babyface in the world. I thought at that time, relative to output specifically, output rather than legacy, that he was the best wrestler in AEW. And I proudly proclaimed this. And he had matches in fucking Daly's place, and I was like, man, this guy's tearing it up, man. Oh, he's tearing it up. He's having 3 1/4 with Scorpio Sky. I was like, oh man, that was fucking sensational.
It's funny. I didn't realize it was this deep. I had no idea.
Yeah, but I've been on the Cody train now.
That's pretty sick, dude. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was big on AEW Cody when, like, that first block, he was great. The first few months of Dynamite, he's incredible. He was like Sting. And then he kind of lost me. And I remember when he made the jump, I remember thinking he'll probably do pretty well, but I was like, I don't know if he's skill set for skill set. I didn't know if he would actually be able to pull it off, like be the guy. I mean, to say he did would be an understatement. I mean, good God, he's a monster, dude. He's like an all-time WWF babyface now. It's crazy.
Yeah, Dave. Did you see what Dave said about it?
I did. It's very Dave. Very Dave.
It was, and I was just like, should I weigh in on this? And like, I felt like if I quote tweeted that, not to give myself an ego, I felt like it would have started a day-long discussion on the timeline and debate. And I was like, I don't really feel like doing this and waking this one up. But
it happened anyway, so you know, it was.
Cody's a monster, man. He's a fucking monster.
He is. He's actually quite amazing.
I knew his WWE run would work pretty much like halfway through that Seth match at Mania. Great
fucking match. All those matches are great. All right, here's a fun one. What do you see from a Penta run in WWE? One of the funniest. Okay, I'm going to just make this clear now. As I just said, I generally don't care where wrestlers go. I think Penta in WWE is like dream scenario. I think it's incredible, dude. Like, because number one, he's super stout in AEW. Number two, what the fuck would he do on SmackDown? Could you imagine the shitty matches he would cook up on fucking Raw? And three, imagine how heated people would be about Penta, who sleepwalks for every match. Dude, it would be imagine him on a house show in Poughkeepsie, taking flatbacks. Like, imagine him wrestling Jey Uso.
Oh my god.
It's fucking incredible.
Oh my fucking god. The inevitable on week 3, Santos Escobar is seen watching him from a distance, you know?
Of course.
Elektra Lopez is like, I'll talk to him. You're like, oh, great.
And you know that he would occasionally go for it and actually be fucking awesome because he can be when he wants to be.
Yeah.
I think, personally, I think it would be absolutely beast. Like, obviously, it's easy for me to say I'm not like a huge fan or anything, but
yeah, he kind of sucks.
I don't know, man. In AEW, like, what's he gonna do in AEW? He's been there the whole time, man.
He's lost like 15 consecutive TV matches.
Right, exactly. And to be clear, I don't think Ibou is saying they should push him. It's just that's where he is, isn't it? That's what he is.
I'd rather he stay in AAA and just do death matches. He had one against Villano Cuatro, a year and a half now. That was like the last awesome Penta I've seen.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. And then remember that was the match that inspired Mox, like, oh, I'm gonna work Penta, and they had that just like match. They just chopped the coverage a couple times.
Fucking sucked. Honestly, AAA wasn't the same after Penta left. I think Penta fully fits their identity, which is like, I don't know. We just do kind of car crash shit. We also do some lucha and like, I don't know. Like, he's eccentric. He's
fucking awesome. He's a beast. He just sucks. The reason he's beast is that he just chooses to suck most of the time. That's right. He's beast, you know. Like, it's like Gallows, dude.
Oh, that's all, hell yeah.
I want to be clear. I say all of this glowingly. Like, the idea of him getting like coming soon vignettes on Monday Night Raw and walking out there and doing sling blades is amazing.
Mi nombre es Penta El Cero Miedo. And Pentagon is coming soon. And
the real pop would be the paragraph in the Observer where they talk about how well his mask's selling in WWE or his fucking gloves. They're selling the Penta gloves. They're the highest seller alongside the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour.
Joe, the next segment is just Damian Priest watching a monitor with Carlito after he looked at the Penta vignette, and he's just like, interesting. Hey, Carlito, you want to earn your keep around here? Why don't you take care of this guy? And he's like, take care of Penta? I don't know, man. That guy's bad news, man. Have you seen him?
Imagine that match, dude. Jesus.
Penta Carlito. Carlito's officially on 90-second job duty already, by the way. He got killed by Braun Strowman on Monday.
So what do you think? He's just going to be an agent there or something? What do you think he's going to do?
Who, Carlito?
Yeah, because I assume that, like, you know. Wait, I'm not trying to be rude, but I mean, we're at the end, right? I mean,
we're at the end. 4 weeks into his fucking WWE Raw run, and they're already like, all right, he's the guy we serve up to Braun Strowman, to die.
I don't know what, like, I mean, he's been back for how long has he been back now? Like a year, maybe?
Since September. Well, he signed about a year ago. He showed up in like August, September.
And I don't know if there's a lot of I don't know how much traveling is ahead of him. I don't know what the people are desperate to see at this point. So maybe he could do like, obviously he's not capable of having like good matches anymore, but he's just on know-how. Maybe you could pair him with some of the kids on the NXT live events or whatever I don't know, dude. I'm trying my best here.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know what he has to teach anybody, but what else are you gonna do?
He's probably like. He probably in his head can teach guys stuff. It's just his execution was always spotty because when he was physically very impressive, he was very inconsistent, wasn't he? Very inconsistent. Like his motivation would kind of go up and down. Yeah.
Joe, we have 225 viewers on YouTube.
That's pretty cool, man. People should hit the thumbs up. That would help us a lot. We'd be
absolutely.
We'd be
good. Pay my bills and shit.
Yeah, man. Well, not really, but yeah. No paydays here, brother. Ethan Page said he was the wrestler with the biggest upside. Obviously, that's not true. Who is that? Who's the wrestler with the biggest upside?
It depends. I feel like it depends on the age group and like what we're talking about. You know?
Yeah, like upside as in like being a genuine star and celebrity, quote unquote, or being like a great match guy. You know, that to me is the difference. They're very different things.
Because Takeshi's a hell of a prospect, even though it feels weird calling him a prospect because he's not a prospect.
Yeah,
he's a wrestler right in the middle of his prime. He's like 27. Like, I don't know. Like MJF, like it's like, would he even count in this category anymore?
I guess you would say Max if you think Max is going to go on to do things beyond
even
wrestling.
beyond what he's doing.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So he would apply to this.
I'd say Trick.
Sure.
Actually.
Did you see the Braun Breaker report by WrestleVotes today, Joe?
I did, and with respect to WrestleVotes, I don't know. I kind of read that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know where that comes from. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like
Bruce.
like how locked into his plans would they be? Like, surely they would just be like, "We'll get Braun moving, and then if he gets going, they wouldn't be like, oh, by Royal Rumble he'll be ready to win the IC belt." You know what I'm saying? It's like you just push guys. To me, anyway. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I don't know the creative process.
I buy the report, kind of, even though it's one of those funny things where it's like, if I wanted to, I could make like a finesse and fake news account and just kind of guess things that feel logical. And just like, I could be like, WWE officials are very happy with the progression of Lyra Valkyria. She's expected for big things soon. So it feels like one of those kind of like just empty reports for sure. But I don't know, man. I'll take it as a W. I like Braun, so I was like, hell yeah.
There's definitely truth to it because Raw needs main event players, and he is obviously the new guy who you would make a main event player. Like, he's clearly the one you'd pick. So,
bro, you didn't see him against Ricochet yet, right?
No, I will watch that though because I think that'll probably be good.
The crowd was just cheering for him to kick the fuck out of that guy.
Well, that's good. I think that's an issue with him as a heel. He as a heel, his character is ass kicker, and it's like people like ass kickers, bro. I mean, that's
Michael Sidgwick made a funny point about it. He was just kind of saying that, like, when it comes to this WWE renaissance of sorts, he said even though like it's WWE's not his thing and stuff, he's able to get a lot of what's connecting, right? And he was saying, I get Yeet, I get I get Bloodline, I get this, and he went like, I don't get Ricochet, Dragon Lee, and he named a bunch of like the high flying guys, and I was dying laughing because the point he was trying to make was just kind of like, he's like, I don't know why WWE still seeks these types of people, and he's making he's talking about how like no matter what, when they stick to their identity and their true kind of like brand, that's what connects the most. And he pointed out like Braun Breaker is an unbridled, unapologetic meathead jock, and 3 weeks into Raw, and he's getting some of the biggest reactions on the show. And on this against Ricochet, the highlight of the night, the one and only Ricochet, they just want him to kill this fucker,
Yeah, and Ricochet, who we both think a lot of as a pro wrestler, but he has been on their TV for what, 5 years? It's like, he is what he is. At some point, the audience just sees you as he's the guy who does flips, but they don't care, right? It's like it's very apparent. It is what he is. It's We'll see. We'll see if he can ever break out of that. Like, that's kind of why I think he'd be a good candidate to jump. But
absolutely, yeah, for sure.
He'll do it. I mean, he'll do his thing. Obviously, he's gonna get paid. God bless. You
got guys like Chad, who's just a fucking alchemist, who like he's able to play their game while still kind of like not really compromising his shit.
Yeah, he's been pretty special what he's pulled off, especially with his size.
Yeah,
very impressive.
He's He's like 5'8" and shit. And he's a technical wrestler that does amateur style stuff, and he's still doing it while also doing their like sports entertainment bullshit.
And he was getting over as a babyface too, dude.
He's done a hell of a job. He is a versatile guy. He is just what a talented guy.
Yeah, he's tremendous. Cowboys for current vibes going into Battleground. I think it'll be a very fun vibe show. Hope Julia beats Roxanne up. I think the show looks fucking awesome, to be honest with you. I'm sure that will age poorly, but I'm doing a watch along, and just to be transparent, there's not one match on that show that I'm like dreading. Which usually NXT, those shows have like 3 matches that I'm like, you couldn't pay me to watch that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Every match on this show, I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that. Like, I actually think it looks really good. I mean, the Apex worries me a little bit because that crowd might be tough.
Weird. Yeah.
Just the acoustics might be weird, right? Like,
It's a weird.
I don't know.
It's a weird area. I wonder how wrestling's gonna come off in there. But
Me too. Yeah.
That's also part of like my incentive to watch too, though, is that like it's in a weird location. You know, I'm kind of concerned at how much I'm up for the show. Like, I find myself like, because I'm like, I always like to give myself things to look forward to in the week, and this week it's like NXT Battleground. I'm like, what? I'm like, get a fucking grip, you know. Get a fucking grip. What is wrong with you? But I don't know. I think really a lot of it is really boosted by Jordynne Grace. Her being in that show to wrestle Roxanne and potentially produce one of the better American women's matches of the year is like legitimately exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm into that. Lola Vice and Shayna, that's an underground match, correct?
Yes, which that pops me just on concept.
Yeah. Hell yeah. The presentation of those things is just super neat.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and even like I don't think Ego and Trick's gonna be good, but there's an appeal just because like oh shit, like Ego's match is pretty cool, right?
Can you imagine if Ethan Page won?
Yes, I can, because as I've said to you about the Good Brothers, I think anyone can win in NXT. He's fucking nuts, dude. Like, he's insane. Do you remember when he did that weird, like, New Day tag title run and then, like, Gallus beat them? I was all,
holy shit, that happened. What the
yeah, like, someone messaged me the other day and was like, oh, shit, man, you're doing another grin along with the Good Brothers going to lose. And I'm like, look, they'll probably lose, but, like, they don't, Sean doesn't even know the finish yet. Like, he's just vibing, bro. He's show up to the Apex, get, like, a little, you know, some kitchen roll right down the finishes.
I thought about this the other day, Joe. I am awestruck by Shawn Michaels as a creative mind. I like.
He's nuts.
He is in. I can't solve it, Joe. I don't know what his creative style even is.
It works, though. It works.
I can't distill it. And even more alchemic to me is how many people love it.
Yeah.
It's like, just like how Sidge was doing with the main roster WWE, like most companies' appeals, I can go like this is what the appeal is, this is why people like it, right? I go on Twitter, right? I posted the NXT rating because I was surprised at it. And so many people in the quotes like, man, Sean is just the best in the world at this. And like people are like, Sean is just fucking cooking. I saw a guy tweet that like, at the end of the day, Sean does what Tony Khan can't do. And I was just like,
that fucking rules.
Sean, people are posting like, this is why Sean is the best booker in wrestling. And people are posting Sean with the fucking chef hat and shit. Like, my God, you know, like, wow.
Dave's theory popped me. Dave was like, people like seeing young folks on TV. And I read it and thought, oh shit, we're just cooked, bro. We're just
because no one's like really able to pin it down. Like,
yeah, that's what it is. Like, we're just old now. That's literally that explains it.
I'm like, this isn't good traditional wrestling. You shouldn't do that on a show. You shouldn't do this, and that doesn't really work. And then I'll tweet that, and people are like, go fuck yourself. NXT rocks. And I'm like, all right.
Yeah, because think about the wrestling we like. If we did our combined favorite wrestler list, there would be like 2 wrestlers under the age of 40 on it. It's like, we're not the audience, bro. People like seeing young, you know, like dynamic, exciting pro wrestler. They don't like seeing fucking psychology and limb work. They don't give a shit.
They want to whoop that trick.
Yeah.
They want to. My God, they had NXT playing in the break room at my job. And so I had to do that thing where I pretend that I don't know anything about wrestling or know what this is. So I had my back turned to the television as I ate. But I did turn my head once because I heard Javon Evans, his name. And I was like, all right, let me see what's going on here. And like, he's like having a brawl with Sean Spears. And he has like a really cool outfit. And the crowd is chanting Young OG. And he does this like cool springboard cutter to fucking Sean Spears. And the crowd is going crazy for him. And he has like a bandana. And I'm like, man, like this kid is so over. And like, he's like 20.
He's a kid.
I was like, wow.
That's the thing. And one thing I think all of us ain't going to agree on, whatever you think of the show, it is genuinely cool. Considering how most old heads are in wrestling, the way that Sean like features women is actually cool. Like legitimately. Like I know people make a meme of the talent they sign, and I get it, but bro, they have like 4 matches on TV sometimes. The women's division does. Like it is pretty sick, genuinely. So that's cool. But also Gallows and Anderson on it.
This is mind fucking me, Joe. Like I feel old. Like I just
yeah, man, we are old. Fuck. Look, I didn't even know this. Like, there was 1 men's match on NXT this week, dude. He's kind of beast. Like, I don't want to watch it, but he's kind of beast. I respect
that's what I was gonna say. It's like just how weird the show is almost awesome. Like that Sean will just like break like traditional rules. You know what I mean? That he'll just be like, he's like, why do we have to have more men's matches than women? And it's like, I don't know. It's like, then let's just not. And I get it. Like when Gallus are your featured act, it's like, like, that's what you gonna fucking do.
Incredible. What a tower has been the resurgence of NXT. All right, what we got here.
Dynamite is lucky there was no NBA competition yesterday.
Yeah, their numbers, NXT numbers have been kind of crazy. What are Ibou's favorite Puro matches from the 2010s?
Oh man.
Oh, there's a lot of in the 2010s. It's kind of crazy, dude. There's a lot.
Takashi Sugiura versus Yoshihiro Takayama from Noah. I want to say it was 2010 on the dot. It's fucking awesome.
Beast.
The very cliche but obvious Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii from the 23rd G1 Climax. Their unhinged sprint match that was 12 minutes or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, it might not even be that. That match is crazy. Yeah.
Very imitated, but yeah. What else do we got here?
You know what match fucking rules, bro? I just found the date on it.
What's up?
January 3rd, 2015. Go Shiozaki, Joe Doring. Go watch that match, folks. That match is fucking awesome. Incredible match. Completely lost to history. Great match.
Hell yeah. Kenta Kobashi's retirement tag is awesome.
There you go.
What else do we got here? I'm trying to get to like the weird ones before I get to the obvious ones.
Yeah, because the 2010s, there's some that are just like
obvious, kind of seminal, part of wrestling's canon. You know what I mean? But before I'm trying to let me see what else I can get to. This is a 2014. Most of Shibata did this thing, Joe, where he targeted I think they're called the 3rd generation of New Japan. It's the generation that got fucked by Inoki, which was Tenzan, Nagata, Nakanishi, and Kojima. And Shibata decided, I want to go after all of you fuckers. And every match he had with all those guys is like sick in its own way, even the Nakanishi match. So those are all worth seeking out. What else do we got here?
Dude, Sakuraba and Shin. What Tokyo Dome show was that? The one where he catches him with that knee. Remember that match?
Of course I do. That match is awesome. There's a sick match with Sakuraba and Masato Tanaka at a Tokyo Dome.
Yes. I get all the years confused on these.
Yeah, man, it throws me off. Like Wrestle Kingdom's like 5 to like 7. I've seen all of them, and I always mix up what match happened. All the major Nakamura Tanahashi matches are fantastic. Oh my goodness, King of Pro Wrestling 2012, Minoru Suzuki versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, an absolute classic.
That match is unbelievable, dude. Tanahashi was
he was the man.
Yeah, I've said it to you before. I think we've said it on the air, but like, I get that Okada went on to have like a deeper catalog and all that good stuff. But you'll never convince me he was better than Tanahashi. I refuse. We'll not do it. I'll never buy it, dude, ever.
Joe, I'm 1 month away from finally just unleashing the clip on the timeline, but I'm still holding off on that.
Okay, cool. Speaking of such, lest we forget, Ibou, yes. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus the Machine Gun, Cole Anderson, right? New Beginning, 2013.
Oof.
That's a killer match. Not even doing a bit. That match is fucking awesome.
You know what else is awesome? Nakamura and Carl Anderson have a sincere like 4-star match at like God, what is it like Power Struggle or some shit?
Power Struggle 25th. The one when
Yeah.
afterwards AJ challenges Shin. That one.
Yeah, it's Power
2015. Yeah.
Yeah, that match is really good.
Yeah, man.
Match is really good. All right, obvious ones out the way. Obviously, all the Okada matches with Kenny Omega. Every Kenny Omega match with Naito. He had a G1 match with him in 2016 and 2017. They're tremendous. Naito Ibushi 2017. This was G1 27 night 1. My goodness, Tomohiro Ishii versus Kenny Omega in the G1 Supercard show in 2017. Michael Elgin has a couple bangers.
He does.
Hiromu Takahashi versus Kushida. Every match, their Tokyo Dome match, their sprint where it basically like Kushida got squashed.
That's so sick. Yes,
it's amazing. And fucking the Dominion match. The Dominion match, I think, is one of the greatest junior heavyweight matches of the decade. So that can all get punched in there. What else are we thinking here? Masaki Mochizuki versus Shingo Takagi in Dragon Gate. This was like mid to late 2010s. Really fucking great match there. God, there's a Pac match in Dragon Gate in 2019. And I'm forgetting I feel like I'm forgetting who he faced, but he went back to Dragon Gate post. And he's a match in 2019. I remember thinking it was incredible, but I'm forgetting who it was at this point.
Lest we forget the AJ matches to AJ and Tanahashi, AJ and Suzuki. There's so much shit, bro. Yeah. New Japan in that decade is
New Japan has the lion's share of great matches from the Japanese the 2010s.
Yes, so hopefully we popped with the answer. We went all over the place there. There's about 20 matches, but there you go. Who's winning the Owen? Hangman and Mariah, do you think?
I was just gonna say, if he asked me my favorite Puro matches from the 90s, my answer would have been like 30 minutes long. But
maybe next time.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Mariah May and Hangman Page. Even though
I actually think they're like locks, to be honest, but especially Hangman. I think Nigel was gonna cost Dragon, right?
That would be crazy.
I think that's what they're doing.
That would be sick.
I think he's gonna like really stress like the dream, and Nigel's obviously his own dream is. Yeah, I think that's what they're gonna do.
That could be cinema.
If you did that right, what I'm describing, if done correctly, could be like genuinely incredible.
Because if Danielson goes real heavy-handed and really making you emotionally side with him to win this Owen, I saw a lot of people talking about like, man, like after the promo he cut, he should be he should be the guy that win it. The heartbreak that could be generated from this bitter piece of shit. Nigel McGuinness going rogue on him.
Real graps. Here's a fun one. Get you in some trouble. Ibou, rank these wrestlers: Gunther, Mox, Cody, Ospreay. Just without even any criteria, just on site. Go for it. Rank them. Because if you give a criteria, people can argue. If you just give your answer, they could, it is what it is, right? It's there.
This is gonna get me in trouble. All right.
Mox is for sure the 4 You ain't making the playoffs, brother.
Cody, Gunther, Ospreay, Mox.
Good answer. All right. I want to shout out this because we always show love to house shows around here. That's the gimmick. Expert Gaming City Short saw one on Sunday. Got to see Gable, Sammy Reed. Well, Bailey Tiffany in the most standard match ever. That fucking rules. Like training wheels on. Pam ain't taking any risks on the live events. Yeet Man being over. Cody, AJ, Main. I've seen they've been working that one. They've actually had some chances to run it back on the road. So I'm sure we're going to get it coming up in Glasgow. Will be great. And he got a pick with the champ. So God bless. I'm glad you had fun, bro. That's great.
Sounds like a fun house show.
That's what it's all about. Who do you think was better in the ring? 2000 to 2002 Rock or 15 to 2017 Cena? We're both Rock guys, right?
Damn.
So my answer doesn't actually make sense here, but I think this will make sense to you because we're both weird.
We're gonna have the exact same answer, and we're gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say you're gonna tell me if this is gonna be your
okay. Go for it. Go.
Rock was a better wrestler. Cena has a better catalog in that stretch.
Fuck, we need to stop doing shows. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like, I think Rock's his work at that point, I think mechanically is a lot more aesthetically pleasing.
Oh yeah,
I like it a lot more.
He's not doing awkward fucking code reds and shit, you know.
Right, but Cena's catalog is like,
Bro, at that time he's working literally like the greatest wrestlers from ROH's prime.
yeah, that's the thing. Like imagine like 2001 Dwayne working with 2016 AJ or whatever, right? Like,
Yeah,
or
like,
Kevin or whoever.
John Cena is working with Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Claudio Castagnoli, and AJ Styles.
And even Seth at that point. Seth was
And
a freak
Seth,
physically, yeah. Like
yeah.
yeah.
You go to that cage match and like it's a bunch of Dave 4.5s and shit. And these are legitimate 4.5. These are like 4.5s before Dave fully lost his mind. And they're deserved. He's working some of the best wrestlers of that era. You know, so yeah, he has the stronger that catalog has more firepower. But just purely as a worker, I still would take Dwayne in the 2000 to 2002. And his catalog itself is not one to scoff at either.
No, yeah, it's just different. It was different company, different house style too, right? Like the main event style. I mean, Cena, there was so many kickouts in those later Cena matches. It just was. It became different, and he kind of. That was when he was doing the weird, like he was playing like covers of indie tracks and shit, and he would do this springboard stunner and fucking all of that stuff. It was just different. It was a different company.
Joe, I rewatched the John Cena versus Cesaro the other day, and it just kind of blew my mind. Like John Cena does a Rana.
Yeah, it looks like shit too.
It looks like shit, but I was like, why is he doing? Like, and the thing is, though, these matches benefit. They gotta have this Logan Paul effect, where like the crowd is kind of like, you know what I mean? They're like, whoa, he can do that. Like that's like a lot of the matches is, and then on commentary, all here's fucking JBL like, he's always adding something new to the holster, Michael. He's always adding some new tools and new tricks. That's why he's a big match, John. That's why he's John. That's why he's the greatest, Michael.
So I know people hated it, but I gotta be honest. I thought John was pretty beast at calling those big matches. I've got to be honest. I'm being real. He gave it some gravity, you know. He gave it some magnitude. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't hate JBL's commentary, to be completely honest with you. Eventually, he got kind of annoying, but
yes, very annoying for sure.
Right. But specifically for Cena, he was kind of awesome. Like, do you remember that spot they would always do where someone does like a crossbody to John and he'll cash it and start setting up for the AA, right?
Picks him up, yeah.
Yeah. Every time you do that, I go like, what power by Cena? And then JBL's like, this is what he does, Michael. This is a winner, Michael. This is Mariano Rivera in the 9th inning, Michael. This is Michael Jordan in the 4th quarter.
My thing with JBL is he's one of those classic cases of it's got worse to me since he's gone. So I retroactively think he was better than he was, you know? Like,
yes.
Because if you look at the WWE color guys now, it's like McAfee, Barrett, Gray. Like, bro, fuck, put John back in.
Could you imagine JBL doing Randy Orton versus Gunther?
I would love to imagine that. I'm still popping from that ridiculous run he had as Baron Corbin's manager.
Where he unironically cut some incredible promos.
And he wore those really funny trousers, remember that?
Yes.
He had that insane fit. What AEW guys would make sense for the G1? I was thinking that Claudio, I could see them wanting to keep Claudio just because how much TV he gives them, right? He's has so many TV matches for them.
Most halfway decent AEW wrestlers would be a big help to New Japan at this point.
Yeah.
But Tony likes to keep most of his halfway decent wrestlers on his TV. So can you send Miro? Like, can we do that?
That'd be sick. I'd like to see Roddy work the G1. I don't know if you remember, but back in the olden days when Ring of Honor was New Japan's partner, that everyone wanted Roddy to do the G1 in 2015, and they sent Elgin. And Elgin actually ended up being a good fit. Obviously, things would, go the way they would go. I'll leave that there.
Right.
But at the time, people were really upset because they wanted it to be Roddy. So that'd be cool if he got to do it. The problem is like, what does it actually mean to work the G1 at this point? Who are you wrestling? You know?
That's the other thing. It's like, all right, you're gonna have matches with fucking Chase Owens and Kenta and David Finlay. This is not the G1 of yesteryear, folks.
I mean, we saw that with Eddie, right? Like, look, Eddie went to the G1, and it was like his lineup was like, I mean, it was all right.
He had like 2 like you need to watch this matches on that old order.
Yeah. I remember his match with Tamil was like really weird. Like it was like it was like pretty good, but it was just weird watching those two try to have a match. It's such a strange blend, you know?
My God, New Japan is watched. Like I'm really thinking about the G1, and I'm like,
It sucks, dude.
why care? Like what the fuck?
It's a shame. I wish it was good. I think it would be a great outlet for both of us. It's just not.
Absolutely. I'm here, Joe. I'm here in back alley channels tracking down all Japan shows that don't even have commentary and shit. You know?
So what is the work? So is Noah doing better this year? Is that the belief?
Well, yes. Here's the thing, Joe. It's not even that like their booking is any better or like more. It's really just repositioning certain people in certain places. It's a coach just simply changing the rotation and the team winning more as a result. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
They basically said, all right, Kaito, you're back at point guard. Jake Lee, you will be a 5-minute reserve. And Takashi Sugiura, you want more minutes again? And they're like, hey, we'll take in some fly-ins from this guy and from that guy. And then it's like, wow, they went from like a 32 win team to a 46 win team.
It kind of pops me because like I want to become one of those real fucking lunatics that has like a go-to Japanese professional wrestling promotion that you just like. But I feel like if we had the same one, we could do real damage with that, you know?
Joe, you know what's nasty? I was so ready for it to be all Japan. When fucking Nakajima shaved his head, went
so sick. Yes.
He went buzz cut and came out to Antonio Inoki's theme, and you had fucking Kento Miyahara chasing him. I was like, oh, let's fucking go. I was like, hell yeah. And then like all Japan, this is just our luck, Joe. All I hear about for 2022 and 2023 from the people that watch is like, man, all Japan is on fire right now. All Japan is so good. All da. And I'm like, I told myself going into 2024, Joe, I'm gonna watch every show. And of course, my luck, that's like when like the show's quality is like completely decreases, and
of course
they're just kind of chugging along. Like, it's like, what the hell, man?
What's gonna be really nasty is when inevitably there's like a graphic post up and like WWE send try to figure who the funniest person they could send is that you and I would pop for. They're gonna send someone to Pro Wrestling Noah. And there's gonna be a couple of DMs exchanged and something very nasty is gonna emerge. I can feel it. I'm concerned about it, to be honest with you. I'm concerned, I'll be honest.
Apollo Crews to Pro Wrestling Noah.
Yeah, like it will be an Andrade graphic, and you and I'll be like,
Andrade versus Takashi Sugiura would be a match of the year candidate.
It's like I'm just desperate to pop myself. I've been really, by the way, Isaiah brings up Brooks Jensen. Bro, why are they doing like a TNA? Like, what the fuck? Why can't he just be a grappler, man? Why does he have to be doing like edgelord shit? What is the deal?
He's like, first of all, people thought he got released because of his tweet where he posted like his booking information and shit.
Right, which I missed completely. So I was really confused why he was tweeting like that. I was very confused.
Yeah, he was doing that, and then he was like complaining about the product, and people were like sincerely engaging with him and writing think pieces in his quotes. And I'm like, guys, this is not obviously like a shitty wrestler Twitter work. Like this, like it had all the trappings and makings of a shitty wrestler Twitter work, you know. But yeah, that was hilarious.
What a weird choice for it, right? Like he's just like it's such a strange choice to me. Like he's like an underneath guy who's like a fun worker. He's not like going to be a fucking. What's he going to do with this gimmick?
He's not Raven, you know. Like, so,
yeah, it's so weird.
What I will say is, and Joe, if you remember, he's the guy whose look pops you because he has like a fucking Jerry Curl porn stash, right?
And what I saw of his work was good. I didn't get why they gave him that gimmick. It's strange.
It's so funny. He works like Mid-South Jake the Snake Roberts, and he's like in 2024 NXT. But it appears that he's going to go to Impact, which is kind of cool on the surface. Yeah. But the match immediately teased Joe's with Joe Hendry. I don't know if you saw his video.
Oh fuck!
Exactly.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, you know what I mean. It's like, can he work like a bruiser where he can kind of hone in on that like all Japan Gaijin brawler style? You know, like what are you gonna do? It's like we're gonna go there and do memes with Joe Hendry, like you know.
All I want from TNA. Because let's be honest, there's like 8 TV shows. There's not really this world where they become like a smash hit. Let's be real. It is what it is. Like AEW drawing at this level, TNA can only go so high. But I just wish they were like kind of like cool, or like, or at least like you could think about your favorite wrestler guy in there and be like, that'd be pretty sick, you know?
Can Brooks Jensen work Steve Macklin and you just kind of whack each other? You
But
know?
even that, they'd go like 25 minutes and like Aiden English would yell the whole time. Like it's just not fun, dude. Like it's just I wish it had like a vibe that we could at least like imagine Andrade or whoever going there and be like, that'd be fucking sweet, right? Like, oh, what if Otis works TNA? I don't think that. Oh, I don't want to see that. I don't care.
I mean, the roster doesn't even have any like rhyme or reason, you know. You know what I was preparing to make, Joe? I was ready to prepare this as a tweet. I don't know if like it's insensitive, but I was gonna make a tweet where I literally list where every major wrestler in TNA's roster would fit best if TNA dies. I was gonna make a really long post about it.
Bro, there would be some nasty quotes on your head, bro.
I was like, would this make me look like a dick? Like,
yeah, you would get the shit kicked out of you, dude. Totally.
Let's do a short version of it now. Fuck.
But who are you even think? So Chris Bay and Ace Austin, I assume you're thinking of, or Chris Bay at least. I don't know.
Okay,
of Ace Austin.
If Ace, I like him. If they remain a heel tag team, I actually think they do pretty good in NXT. In fact, they could be the evil counterparts to Axiom and Nathan Frazier.
There you go.
You know, so I think NXT / AEW is my answer for them.
They actually would be able to land somewhere. They'd be fine.
Yes.
So they're not my concern. Now, beyond that, where are you looking? Because Jordan's clearly, I think,
WWE.
She's going to end up in WWE, right? That's inevitable. What does Josh do?
Alexander?
Josh Alexander, yeah.
I want to make this clear. This post is going to be where they would fit best, not what makes the most sense for their pockets. Let's make that very clear.
You're talking about stylistic fit here.
Yes. So Josh Alexander, I would say Noah / New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Agree. Yep. I agree. New Japan, actually, with their current Gaijin lineup, yes, 100%.
Yes. Tommy Dreamer, MLW. I think Tommy Dreamer's a lock for MLW. You know?
Yeah, probably. What about Macklin?
All Japan Pro Wrestling.
He's a guy we can get to Japan. What are we going to do with Moose?
That's a Noah wrestler.
ML Dub.
MLW or Noah, or both, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah.
Hammerstone's pretty sweet. We're just going to send all these guys to Japan, aren't we? I'm thinking about this more and more. They're all going to go to Japan.
Like TNA's last gift to the industry is just like making Japan more interesting, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so you said Hammerstone?
Yeah, he's going to Japan too.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of where though. Like, would I put him in New Japan or would I don't know.
No.
He kind of has that Noah in this.
Progress in Noah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he kind of boy. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Masha Slamovich.
Masha is an AEW wrestler.
She would be sick if she got like a real run of it, and she's quite tremendous.
She'd get that Deanna run in the AEW.
Matt Hardy. He ain't going to Japan.
No, he's not. Matt Hardy.
The NWA.
WWE, unfortunately.
Do you really, as a talent or as an agent?
Agent.
Yeah, I think he'd actually be a really good agent, but it's just whether he's ready to do it. Innit?
I feel like he'd probably put together some really overbooked matches, but you know.
No doubt. You'd have to police him a little bit, I'd imagine.
Bobby Roode would have to step in.
The It Factor would step in.
Is
there anyone else from TNA that we need to allocate, or are we?
Who are we forgetting? Oh, Mike Bailey.
Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Look, with respect, could you imagine the graphics TK would get at him every week? New Mike Bailey match.
Having to do the routine on the timeline of like Tony drops like Mike Bailey versus Ray Phoenix and people going, oh my God!
Flame emojis everywhere.
Flame emojis, and then the clips, you know, Dre and Bamager and AO posting like they're going crazy, and then, like all that, and He would tear it up. Like, I'm being an asshole.
He has really good matches, dude.
Yeah, he does.
The reason we're being assholes is because he had matches at such a ridiculous rate that it almost became like, good lord, man, have a day off. I mean it, kind of lovingly, honestly. I respect it.
Like, I think in like a 1 year span, I watched way too many of the Mike Bailey match TM. You know what I mean?
It's always good. It's always good. Crowd loves it. He's
good.
Dude.
Hard said, this is so hateful.
It's fine. Mike Santana would have to go straight to the CW network, right?
Yeah. Yes.
He'd probably do pretty good, honestly. Looking at how Ethan's done, he might have a shot.
I think he'd win the championship.
He can talk, man. I like Santana.
Santana and Trick Williams would have some good promos.
John Gresh on WWE Speed. This is AO's bit, and it popped me huge. I just stole it.
Yo, fucking Shawn Michaels would have a conversation with me, like, tell me more about that, like, demon octopus thing you were over there. Tell me more about that thing. He'd ask.
Jonathan Gresham would probably have some sick speed matches, if we're being real.
Speed.
And I like Jonathan Gresham. I'm not even trying to be an arsehole. It just popped me because it was a funny bit.
I think Evil Demon Jonathan Gresham would get pushed on NXT.
Oh, so do I. Yeah.
People would be like, people would cower in the face of the goo.
Would they bring Trent Seven back, do you reckon?
No.
He could be the third member of the New Catch Republic.
No. He's going all Japan.
Is he?
Yeah. He's fat and white, so like
the amount of visas that we're figuring out here. Meanwhile, most of these poor brothers are having to fly themselves over to take flatbacks in these promotions, and we're fucking booking them left and right. Amazing. All right, there we go. We should probably wind down. That's
I got 15 minutes for you, Joe.
You got 15? Let's keep going, bro. Let's keep rocking it. We probably have completed the TNA mission, right?
Sure,
probably.
Right. All right. Yeah, let's go through some more questions, I guess.
Yeah, if you have any more questions, folks.
Make them fucking good, people. Don't ask me about Julia.
Poor Julia.
Nice girl. Just trying to make it out here in the world,
Yeah, we just keep citing her as the question not to ask. That is actually spiteful on our part, I think it's fair to say. What about Sami Callihan? There you go.
Oh my God, MLW.
Dude, do you remember that nasty business when the masses try to pretend there was going to be a bidding war for Sami Callihan? That was filthy, bro. I don't know what the source was on that, but there were like 3 different stories about the free agency of Sami Callihan. What the fuck? Nothing came of it, obviously.
He was hitting up every sheet like, bro, please.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
It felt super transparent too. Like it really did, but
yeah. It happened again with Shane Haste this week. You didn't see that?
Yeah, I did not.
Like,
that's
former WWE superstar contract set to expire, and you click it, and it's like, it's Shane Haste of New Japan Pro Wrestling. And I'm like, all right, bro.
He's not even the fun one, bro. I like the other one.
It's like, all right.
I like Mad Mikey. He always falls on his head. It fucking rules.
Like, yeah, I'm totally to believe that like every major reporter was just looking at information on Shane Haste, and that he just didn't like hit up these guys and was like, "Yo, can you just kind of just tell everybody that my deal's up?"
Have you watched any of the Marigold shows ever in 6 Star? Ibou, I know you watched the first show. I really enjoyed the main event. Did you see anything else stand out to you? I have not seen any of it, but I don't watch wrestling anymore, so that kind of tracks. I haven't even watched Raw.
You haven't seen any of it?
I've seen I only watch clips now, dude. I don't watch the matches, That's why I like SmackDown so much. SmackDown last week, they sent out Tommaso Ciampa and Austin Theory, and I was like, fucking God bless, bro. I can go cook and just do other things, Sick. It's the best show on TV. There's no matches on it. It's sweet.
Yeah, like the matches are like interludes to allow you to piss, and walk.
Yeah, so I can come back and find out where I'm on the bloodline in 10 minutes,
Yeah. It's so funny. My brother has this joke where he goes like, he has a rule because he came up in a different era of wrestling, right? So he's like, I don't watch TV matches, dude. I don't like. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And we were gonna plan to watch Raw together, but he was like running late, and he was like, "What's opening the show?" And I'm like, "Oh, they're gonna do like the Sheamus Kaiser thing." He's like, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like, and I'm like, well, they're doing this Liv Morgan segment. He's like, oh shit, he wants to like know what's going on with Liv Morgan. And I'm like, my God. But if you have that mentality, SmackDown, I mean, you know, you're locked in on what's happening with AJ. You're locked in on what's happening with the Bloodline. You're not sitting there to see Tommaso Ciampa throw chops and do his.
No. Enough with the red chest business, dude. I've quit it. I've had enough of it. Every week I see Sheamus, his fucking chest is beat. Can he not do an arm drag or something?
You know, it's so funny. Michael Hamlet was on What Culture, and he was like, just like, these poor two guys just worked their asses off in this match, Kaiser and Sheamus. And he said it was good, but he was just kind of like, enough of this red chest shit, you know? I was just like...
It's actually beast. I popped myself by disliking it. Have you seen anything else that stood out to you from Marigold? Sorry, Six Star. I hijacked
No, I was gonna watch the house show because I was really bored and I didn't get to it. And I'll be honest, Julia's injury kind of took some of the interest away from me. But I will get back on the Marigold train. They started pairing Bozilla with the white woman, which is unfortunate. But I'll tell you what, Joe, the presentation of that whole deal is like top of the line, I gotta say.
It looked really sick. It looked like something that a year ago I actually would have become like obsessed with, but obviously, you know, I've retired.
Yeah, exactly. They did a great job of like telling you who everybody is.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Like they communicate to you everyone's vibe and what they have going on with themselves and stuff. Really,
look, man.
Really,
Rossi's he's a beast. I mean, it is what it is.
What it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. These are the games we play. Braun or Obafemi in 5 years, whose future is brighter? We're both. I mean, we're going to say Braun, but if Monty was here, he'd punch us, right?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. You know, like our quick answers, Braun, but Monty would like derail him. Like the thing is, man. I mean, you know, think about Obafemi. You know, he's Obafemi, bro. And you know, God, I do like Obafemi.
He's sick. Yeah, he's sick.
Yeah, but let's just relax. You know,
Braun showed very natural instincts when it comes to like selling, and
right.
That stood out to me right away. Of like, holy shit! Like he can already do this stuff. He shouldn't really do it, but he can do it. So,
dude, bro, really think, Joe, he had like a fit, like a 20-minute epic with Ciampa in like his fourth match on TV.
Yeah, and he did the UK tour that year, and it was like 2 months into his career. Like,
bro,
yeah,
like people forget how quickly he was like pretty sick.
But Ober's fucking awesome though, dude. Like genuinely,
sure. He's gonna turn into like quite a useful talent on their roster.
And he can talk too.
Yeah,
which is like
very comfortable.
Which the archetype that he's going to be as a monster, he wouldn't even need to, and he'd be money. But he actually can talk for himself. Like you could give him a mouthpiece, right? But he's a good promo. If you got time, can I get a temperature check on AEW match graphics and pay-per-views for me? And I'm not burnt out on AEW like it seems many are.
I knew I wouldn't be able to escape a temperature question. You know?
Well, that's part of the brand, and that's why I'm established with it now.
You want to take a
So here's where I'm at. When I actually watch the show, I generally like it. So the question then would be, what the fuck's the issue?
Mm-hmm.
I very seldom in between the shows am like greatly anticipating what's going to happen next. Now, that may say more about me than the shows. I don't know. I think you're in a similar spot, right? It's very week to week for me. Depending on what those graphics are, I might love the show. I might think the show's kind of annoying. That's genuinely where I'm at right now.
I think AEW is pretty cool.
It's pretty neat.
Pretty neat, you know.
It does a lot of good shit, bro. It really does. It's just sometimes as a full package, it could be a little bit much for you and I think.
I'll tell you this though. I was watching some of AEW's past, and then I go to Dynamite to start it yesterday before I fell asleep. And man, that LED, I keep banging on this, but bro, that LED fucking barricade is disgusting.
What did you call it? The Fanta? Did you call it Fanta?
It looks like a Fanta wrapper. It looks like a soda wrapper. It's like multicolored and like liquidy and shit. Like
I do wonder how much of it is like, because sometimes you'll read these complaints about Tony's booking, and some of it is stuff that has been an issue for like the entirety of the promotion. And I do wonder how much of it is just like familiarity breeds contempt, like people are just kind of like, oh, I've seen enough of this now. I wonder that because let's be honest, dude, like the matches have always been pretty easy to predict. That's kind of just the way it goes, right? They've always done too many angles. They've always cut to the back too quickly. Like,
here's the thing, though. AEW to get away with the whole young guy goes 50-50 and pushes the veteran to the limit deal, because before it was like, wow, this guy's next up, man. This is a revelation. This person's like
key.
Gonna be the thing. And then in the post match, they raise his hand and shit, and the other guy walks off, and the crowd gives him an ovation. And you're like, wow, something in pro wrestling. Wow, fucking Dante Martin can really be something in pro wrestling. Wow, Private Party, man, these guys are the next great tag team. Holy shit, the Varsity Blondes, man, these guys are great. That used to be like a thing to get, but nobody now, and we saw it last year when I'll never forget about this one, when fucking Action Andretti is pushing John Moxley to the limit on a collision. It's like, no one's like, man, Action Andretti, the next one. No, it's a much more jaded, cold experience watching that long back and forth match now, because it's just kind of like, all right, it's just a thing to fill TV. It's not like this is some.
That's a good point, and that's what that kind of explains what I was wondering about earlier, in that these things don't live in a vacuum, right? It's like a booking decision does not just exist in its own little world. It's the context of everything else. It's like Garcia. If Garcia has a classic with Ospreay and loses, let's be honest, we both love Dan Garcia. We're both going to be, we're not going to be exactly confident he'll go anywhere. We're just being real, right? Like we hope. We're not confident, and that, I guess, in 2021 there was a confidence there because it felt like there was a plan. So yeah, that makes sense. The shows are still good though, man. Like Collision is still, I think, is like good almost every way. It's not very eventful, but it's a very good wrestling show, I find. So I don't know.
It's kind of boring to me, but it has like stuff that like really does pop me. To be honest with you, the way I'll put it, to be honest, is where I'm at with it genuinely is that I'm kind of emotionally disconnected from the product, and I think the TV is not super interesting, but their high-end stuff still peaks very, very high for me, especially on pay-per-view. Like they're still the best, in my opinion, the best American pay-per-view company by far. They're probably just the best pay-per-view company in general. Their big shows are tremendous. Their roster is so strong that when they put on a super card, it's fantastic. And so just off that alone, like they produce enough to where it justifies me keeping up with the company, And so like I still love the pay-per-views. And when it comes to weekly TV, it's just kind of I just kind of take it as it comes, in the sense that like it's not super interesting to me, but like there's good stuff sometimes, and the good stuff is cool, and then the stuff that I don't care for, I just don't care for. But I'm borderline past the point of like hyper scrutinizing the stuff that really doesn't connect with me, for two reasons. One, it does feel like they're set in their ways. No matter how many times you do the whole like, well, this time we're going to restore the feeling. This time we're going to bring back the rankings. This time we're going to do that. These things are kind of fleeting, to be honest with you, and they're kind of gimmicky. And so I don't waste my breath in that standpoint. And then the other part, and I really don't try to allow this to interfere with the experience personally, but I don't I have no desire with engaging with their fan base in these like battles. If I'm voicing like something that doesn't like work for me, I promise you, it's not because I'm trying to get paid, and I'm also not trying to disrupt your enjoyment in any way, or attack you personally in any way. So please don't just bring this war to me. I really, you know what I mean.
Right.
So yeah, I just kind of take it as it comes, and
well, it is what it is, isn't it? At this point,
yeah,
like, I think for some people, one of the things AEW really, I think it's a little bit harsh on them actually, is because they are the alternative. And let's be honest, they're probably the only alternative that we're ever going to get, if we're being real. I mean, there's not another billionaire that was an Observer subscriber out there waiting to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. I think the problem that comes with that is everyone wants it to be their promotion, don't they? It's like everyone wants it to be, this needs to scratch the itch from me. And I think the issue is because they're a variety show, we all get like half of it.
Yeah.
So it's just like, It's this like wrestling back. Like you see people that still watch it and expect it to become Mid-South next week. It's like, bro, that ain't what it's never going to be Mid-South.
Not gonna be. Yeah, they flirted with this a little while ago. Those were moments of glory. But you got to let that one go. Once they got the Fanta backdrop, it was over. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to sum it, to be honest with you. And the other thing, though, that also bugs me a little bit is more so like this year than ever before. It really does feel like some of the things they do is just for the sake of filling content. And
sure, they have too much to fill, bro. Let's be real. I mean, that's what it is. Like, that's the other part of it. That's just baked into the recipe. It's like one of the reasons we don't look forward to it as much is that there's fucking 5 hours of it now, dude. Like when Rampage came along, it was like you were desperate for them to get an extra hour.
I'm gonna blow your mind, Joe. Until late last year, I would watch every AEW TV program and I wouldn't skip a second of any show.
Yeah.
A second. I watched a bit of every Dynamite, Collision, and Rampage that I watched. Oh, and then Rampage became a skim last year. And this year,
we don't even look at it.
This year, I haven't seen a single Rampage. This year, I will happily skip. This year, I watch about 40% of every Collision that I watch. And Dynamite, I usually watch the majority of.
But the thing with that is, and this sounds cynical, but that is genuinely just the reality of where wrestling is now. The money in wrestling now is to produce as much content as possible for your TV partner. And there are just inevitable limitations that come with that. But the reality is, like, and look, folks, I mean, it's a shame because fans, it doesn't help us any. But let's be honest, Tony Khan would be fucking insane to say, nah, bro, we can't do Collision because, like, our fans, there's too much wrestling for them. Like, he needs to do Collision.
If their overlords are saying we're going to give you this many millions of dollars to
add, he has to. Yeah.
It's like, well, hell yeah. He publicly straight up said like a few weeks ago, like, I will happily add an hour to Dynamite if that's what WBD needs.
Yeah.
Because why the fuck would he say no to that?
He's a great example. Like the UFC is the same way. I used to follow MMA closely, bro. Now there's a fight card every weekend. I recognize one or two names every weekend. It's like, but that's where media's trended. Sports, they want as much as possible. Like, and that's just that you have to do what you got to do, right? That's where we're at right now. It's I think it's a shame, but it is what it is, man.
Even though he was always a fucking nut job, what actually was like the breaking point that fully made Vince Russo a maniac? When SmackDown was made. SmackDown was made, and now Vince Russo, with his style of just go crash TV, has to produce 4 hours of TV instead of 2. Yeah. And after like a month and a half, he was like, I gotta get out of here. And he just took all of that to WCW.
It's a lot, dude. It's a lot. Like, it's difficult because I know that they're trying to be profitable more than anything AEW are, right? So it's like, fuck. That's hard. If they want more, they want more. I don't know.
I get it. You know what I mean? It's one of those. Yeah. I can get it while also being like, this hurts the experience for me.
For us as fans, yeah, 100%. Right. It's like WWE. The reason I like the brand split is because I don't have to watch one. I don't watch Raw. I can't watch Raw. It's too much for me.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I know that sounds dark. Like people watching this, like, how can you say that when you've just had 2 hour stream talking about wrestling? Because I enjoy doing this, and I would not enjoy watching 5 hours of main roster TV. I couldn't do it.
It start feeling like work. You would just start feeling it's just very weighty. It's a lot,
Yeah, it's a lot.
And look, fucking, I'm a comic book guy, right? And in the 90s, one of the issues with Marvel and American superhero comics in general is you got to read this book to understand this book. You got to read that book to understand this book. You got to keep up with these 5 books to understand this storyline. When it's like, what the fuck, dude? What are you talking about? And
overwhelming.
It's like, and that's kind of the thing. When your universe expands that much in any narrative ecosystem, and in this we're talking about is pro wrestling, when your universe expands to a point where you need to consume more content to be able to keep up with things. Not that like not watching Collision is going to leave you wholly confused with Dynamite, but right. You get what I'm saying, right? So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's an interesting time, folks. Hilarious place for us to end up. TV rights and the media landscape.
I'm shock you, Joe.
Go for it.
I got 10 more minutes, brother.
You got 10 more?
I got 10.
Oh my God, it's like when the ring announcer keeps changing the time cues,
Hell yeah. You want to run through more questions?
Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. You got any more questions? Throw them in the live chat. This question popped me, but look at this. Why isn't Joe a fan of Seth Rollins and Adam Cole?
You know, before you even answer, you know what I will say?
Go for
At
it.
this point, and I can't believe I'm at this point with it, because I'm not a big fan of Freaking. I much prefer Freaking over Cole at this point.
So do I, and I'm actually going to go a step further. And I'm not thrilled to go this direction. I'm going to. Kind of respected the way the way he handled some of those segments with the big boys. You know, I kind of did.
Yeah.
Initially, he was getting like little brothered, and he had a couple segments, and the way that he worked the match, I kind of thought, fuck, I kind of respect this, begrudging respect.
Mm-hmm.
He's a dude. That dude's output is kind of impressive to me. I have to admit, like his matches. I find these matches generally. I don't think they like suck or anything. I'm generally in the middle where I'm like, they're fun to watch, but they never stick with me.
Mm-hmm.
But he has so many of them, and he's so consistent. It's like, fine, you know.
I was
Here's your gold star, you know.
I was watching Raw, and I was like, middle of the show, and I was like, this could use some Freaking. Yeah,
You could, yeah, good. As for Adam Cole, baby, I just don't think he's very good, to be totally blunt. I say that we always do this for Adam Cole, so I'll do it again for the
he's a
sake of tradition.
guy, you know?
He's a really nice guy. Is nothing personal. I actually would really like to enjoy him because he seems like one of the few good guys in the great sport of professional wrestling.
Right. That's what I feel.
I genuinely just don't think he's very good. Like,
no.
And if you disagree, God bless. That's fine. Like, it's that's just the beauty of this. There's many wrestlers I like that you probably think fucking suck too. I just don't think there's a lot of depth to his game. I think he's a good promo, but not an interesting promo. And I think his matches are like he never has ideas to me. You know, they're just like so one note. But that's just me.
Adam Cole. When he walked out of there at what was the last show, Double or Nothing? I felt so bad at how
Hello, you kid.
No, it's not about care. I was kind of annoyed. Like I was like, I don't want to.
That's kind of mean.
I'm saying, I had like this visceral, like I don't want to see you type of reaction. And when Max kicked him in the dick, I was like, yeah, get him.
Yeah. I wish that it's a shame. It is what it is, isn't it?
NXT was insanity.
I don't even I didn't even like that stuff. That's how much it's just not for me, is it? It is what it is. It is what it is. I liked him in Ring of Honor sometimes.
You know what's funny about that? I liked him in 2018 when he was the North American champion. And for whatever reason, when he just moved up to the next belt, I was like, I don't know if I enjoy this that much.
But he does seem like a really nice guy.
Seems like a really nice guy.
Yeah, like sincerely so, which is impressive.
Oh my God! One more thing, dude. When his O'Reilly matches stunk in 2021, I saw so many people tweeting like, "Oh man, they had great matches in Ring of Honor, New Japan." And I was like, "No, they didn't."
Yeah, they had that one match where his lip got busted open, and after that, they kept trying to repeat the fucking.
Yeah. They're like the same thing but with blood.
What was the look at dude? I don't hate DIY. I just like ripping Ibou about DIY. I don't hate any of these fucking wrestlers, dude. Like DIY. I'll send like a text to Ibou and pop myself. I don't like dislike DIY. They had some great matches back in the day. Great matches, dude. The revival matches. They're a long time ago, but they were fucking great matches, dude.
Yeah.
Everyone has their moment, right? Their day in the sun.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Right. The questions have now pivoted to just MTR slander in the chat and all sorts. It's getting kind of crazy, bro. I think we're getting booed off. All right. Again, here is another one. Why do you hate your countrymen, New Catch Republic? I do not.
I gotta be honest, Joe. See, with DIY, like realistically, and again, they're both, well, Johnny in particular, very nice guy, you know, I will say they do come off like dweebs, you know, and like so I get why they're roastable, if that makes any sense. You know,
Yeah,
coming out in like DX gear and shit. And it's like, you
that
know,
was a little bit embarrassing. Yeah.
right, yeah. But I think Bait and Dunn rock. You know, it is what it is. I think they,
I actually really like Bates' work. Dunn sometimes he still does those punches that upset me very much. He's a good worker, dude. They're a good team. They just I don't know if they're ever going to get over fully on the main roster, but they're a good team. Like,
you know what's funny about Bait? I think he fits better in this like Spark Blood tag role than he did as like this like main event pushed guy in
yeah,
2021
of course. Yeah.
when he was like the bruiserweight and we had to like watch him in main events and shit. Even though that fucking Balor match was sick.
He had some really good matches. It's just on a national promotion, he's probably in the right role now, right? It's
like in basketball when you see a certain player and you're like, his usage rate should not be like Jordan Poole. Like it's like he should not be like
exactly. Yeah, he's
prime
still sometimes he might score 40, but it don't mean it's right.
exactly. Like, a winning team should not have you in this role if they want to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, what's the next match review you're playing? We're gonna do some AJ stuff. But I don't know what yet. Some TNA AJ stuff because Tope wanted to do. We did the Kurt video for
it was awesome.
Him and Ken. We wanted to do like an AJ one too, but I don't know what that will be necessarily. We shall see. How destructive is current Jericho's work for his legacy? Honestly, I think people will just move on and forget it. To be honest with you, I think as wrestling fans are very willing to forget deeply embarrassing chapters of wrestlers' careers.
This is true, but I'll say what, Joe, and I saw
He's pushing it. He's pushing it.
I was gonna say for me, I didn't expect to feel this way, nor was I trying to feel this way. But I watched some Jericho content from a few years ago.
Oh no!
Able to escape the feeling of modern Jericho.
Wow.
Like
okay.
Modern Jericho was in my brain as I'm watching this, and I'm like, this motherfucker. And I'm usually so great at being able to just compartmentalize and not allow other things to interfere with what I'm consuming. I'm usually so great at that. I'm watching Jericho from a few years back and him just doing his Jericho shtick that's over. And I'm like, what a hack, you know? Like, what a hack.
But generally, though, like, because we're deep in here, we're doing a fucking wrestling podcast. Like, he'll probably be fine, right?
Yeah. When it comes to like how the general wrestling public views him on a broad level, this will not hurt him. Unless it like goes another year of him acting like Eugene on TV.
Well, it might, to be fair. I mean, I definitely think if he retires imagine he retired in the Max feud in 2021. That was his last match. It probably is a lot more flattering to his legacy because he was starting to obviously slide, but he still had played a great role in AEW, right? Because look, whatever you think of Jericho right now, he did play a great part in AEW's success.
His early AEW stuff had people. I mean, we remember the conversations. They were talking about how it enhanced his legacy, if anything, and it added his career. And you remember this, Joe? Some people were calling him the greatest of all time.
They were, dude. They weren't. He had that case that was about the. You remember, like they used to people used to do the reinvention and such, and he started talking about David Bowie. It's an interesting time.
So like fake. What is he reinventing?
He just changes his nickname and shit.
Yeah, like they all have the same fucking framework. You know? Haha.
I will say the suit Jericho was different, but other than that, yeah, you're right.
Suit Jericho was different, and it might still be my favorite of his like main event run, to be honest.
Probably.
I thought the storytelling in his transition to being that Jericho was some of the best WWE storytelling ever. Because his case was fair. He was like, yo, Shawn Michaels is a fucking disingenuous, lying piece of shit. Why do you guys like him? Why do any of you guys like Shawn Michaels?
Fair.
I'm an honest motherfucker.
He was the list of Jericho, while goofy, he did a hell of a job with that, with the Kevin stuff, You know
what's funny about all that, Joe? 2016 WWE is so fondly remembered, and so many people like that was their jumping on point, and like so many cool, fun things were happening. I was the jaded veteran fan already, who's just kind of like, this is okay. I don't know. What are you fucking? I had a friend who was so into the list of Jericho. He texted me really like, "Oh man, I love Raw, man." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, Jericho and Kevin Owens, man, they're so entertaining. I'm like, they're okay. Yeah. Like, I was sitting there like, what like
That's a fascinating time. Like I've seen Brandon Thurston talk about like if you look at the trends, there was interest there that could have sustained like a new boom, and they just obviously they just WWF'd it and just it didn't happen. But like there was like people were ready, they were ready to get back in, dude. The network had found its footing.
Joe, I go back and watch it. I'm like, this feels like it was kind of hot. What the hell? Like,
it had a moment. I think the key would have been if the NXT excitement had translated over.
Yeah.
But obviously, instead, all the guys that got called up got like fucking destroyed and decimated.
If they did a better job embracing NXT, like the way that NXT people transition now, right? If they were doing that then,
yeah,
I think WWE probably would have that energy and hardcore fan excitement that eventually had to transfer over to AEW's creation would have just been harnessed into like a WWE expansion of some in like 2017.
And that's why it's a good thing it didn't, because
because
it would have been very bad for wrestling, because they would have genuinely bought the world at that point, like
because
I mean
it's like
it was spooky, bro. It was kind of crazy.
I was gonna say like this thing, NXT was awesome, right? And like a lot of great wrestlers got platform to do cool things, right? But like if it worked out,
that's the thing. I think you can judge them separately. Like I think you can, to me anyway, you can be like, this was fucking awesome. It was probably, deeply treacherous in what it was trying to achieve. But I do think those things could, because there's no, a wrestling project is never going to be some sort of wholesome venture anyway. So it's just kind of shrug, right? Like, I don't know.
It's funny because I wasn't on wrestling Twitter, I never even like thought of those aspects until like I was made to think about it. So like I'm seeing it in UK, I'm like, oh, this is pretty cool. I'm like, who's this guy? Tyler Bate? He's pretty good. I'm like, Pete Dunne, all right, cool. Tom End, this is sick. And then I go on wrestling Twitter, people like just on a geopolitical level, this is fucking like treacherous and and I'm like, that's a pretty good point.
Yeah, it was totally right. Like I reviewed recently Bobby Roode and Kota Ibushi from a house show, an NXT house show. They had Bobby Roode and Kota Ibushi out there wrestling in the co-main. Like it was ridiculous. I loved watching it. It doesn't mean it was good for the health of the industry. It wasn't.
They really, dude, like the best wrestlers on the planet, like that were not signed. Like they just took everybody.
It's my favorite stuff, dude. I mean, it is what it is. We just, I have very fond memories of that time,
I go back and rewatch some stuff from Black and Gold, and I'm actually pretty surprised at how good it was. like
yeah.
You remember it being good, but I'm like, what a product. Jesus.
I actually have, I'll just say this now because we're 2 hours into this. If anyone sees this, who gives a fuck, right? But I actually have like a plan for like an NXT revisit show.
Mm-hmm.
Because I actually want to actually look back at the TV, but rather than doing like weekly reviews, I want to like review like a month for the TV, because that's the way you'd cover it, right? It was like what happened this month on NXT TV,
right.
You'd have broad strokes. Because I just think that show was fascinating in ways that I don't think people grasp at the time. Like the format for that show was so fucking quirky, dude. It was like an 80s show.
Yeah.
It was territory TV, bro. It was wild.
You get pre-tapes, you get vignettes, you'd get like squash debuts. You get these very meticulous and slow rollouts of people that like at the time you'd be like, man, when are they going to get going with the Street Profits? But then by the time they do, they feel like they're like veterans with like really already like fully figured out acts. You know what I mean? Like you remember like they would do really just slow rollouts of people.
Yeah.
I feel like I was watching Street Profits like character vignettes for like 2 years. It
was so sick. I miss it a lot. The pace of the show and the way the show felt, and like there's some of the sensibilities are on Raw and SmackDown now because obviously the booker, but you can't. It was a 1 hour show. You can't convert that to fucking Raw and SmackDown. You just can't.
1 hour on the network in a closed environment with a forgiving fan base that like was in on it. It was just very specific, like
didn't have to sell tickets, didn't have to do ratings. Like
no. And even within NXT itself, when Hunter was put in position where he had to sell tickets and do ratings, immediately became a worse booker.
Yeah, yeah, totally. He started hot shotting like crazy. Like, and the other thing I would do with if we did this show, I would obviously look, because of course I would. The live event loops of NXT are crazy because they would book really quirky buildings, right? Because like they wasn't big enough to sell like the arenas.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was looking the Bobby Roode match I was talking about, they did it at the Palladium Theatre in LA, and it's like the only wrestling event that's ever taken place there. And there they were, NXT. It was like a sellout. It's such a quirky time. There's some really weird matches that cropped up from those house shows. I tweeted a few of them recently.
It's funny because what was I gonna say? I had a friend, Joe, who lived in,
Mhm.
and I was so jealous of him. He would go to every house show, and he would just send me videos and pictures. He's like, oh, another great show. Like, fuck you, you know.
They'd have two. They had I think they called it the Coconut Loop, which is when they would do like Largo and like all the Florida spots that you're referencing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, for example, like Samoa Joe probably wrestled No Way Jose like 20 times in main events on those shows, right? Like, can you imagine how few bumps he took in that saying? Like, good God. And then they did the national tours. But what was quirky about, and this is why that crew of guys, and you probably hear about this a lot, like that group of men and women are really like kind of tight, because
Yes,
they would do their live event loops the way that the main roster guys do the European tours. They'd do on a bus. So NXT, the boys would all meet up at fucking the PC or whatever.
yeah.
And you know, Shinsuke Nakamura getting on the bus with Riddick Moss, whoever the fuck, some, rookie.
Buddy
It was just a
Murphy.
really weird vibe. Really weird.
It's kind of sick, man.
Yeah, man.
The boys don't hit the boat anymore like that. You know, they're not. You know, they're not.
It's a different time, but in the good old days.
They're not stuffed in a fucking car. You know, like driving for hours. Yeah.
It was a different time, folks. Back in the olden days of 2016. It's just it used to be better.
Where all these cool things are happening, and I couldn't enjoy it in the moment because I thought wrestling was like all right. Yeah. Except I did think NXT was sick. I did think NXT was sick, but really, like to explain my experience again, like I said, all these super cool things are happening, and if it wasn't New Japan or like takeovers, I didn't really give a fuck. So, you know, the one thing that did pop me, because I'm me, I was like, Goldberg's coming back.
Listen, people say what they want. When Goldberg squashed Brock, that was one of those moments, bro. Time stood still.
You know what's funny about
that shit was crazy, brother.
It was electrifying, and you know what's so funny about it? My brother was so mad.
That's beast.
He was like, "This is what they had Taker lose the streak for." They disrespected. He was looking at it as like they disrespected the Undertaker. He put this fucker over, and he's gonna get squashed by Goldberg. Are you fucking serious? And I was just pumping my fist. I was just like, Goldberg's back.
It's the only time ever that WWE fully recaptured the Goldberg vibe, and they did it in 2016. Like, it's crazy. For that one moment, it's 1998 again, bro. It's crazy.
And it's because of who he beat.
Yes.
At the time.
And how quickly he beat him, too.
You got to think about, like, how strong Brock was. You know, like,
unbeatable, bro, yeah.
Look what he did to Randy at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that was the match he worked before that, right? SummerSlam, because he wouldn't have worked. He would have gone SummerSlam to Survivor Series. So yeah, the last time people saw him, he was fucking bludgeoning Randy Orton's head with elbows.
Yeah, and like it was so MMA, and like there was no traditional closing stretch and shit. You know, he just fucking killed him.
It was, that was a crazy. And the thing is too, they pitched it as like Bill's last match. Remember he did he's like, "You're not next, you're last," was his big line. And he wrestled like 15 more matches like a beast.
No, Joe, that whole storyline was booked by Paul Heyman.
Of course. I mean, of course it was. That's got him all over it, bro.
Have you ever seen him do live interviews where he talks about that feud?
No, but his live interviews are outrageous.
The way he talks about it, he's like, imagine a guy was once Goldberg, and now he's Bill Goldberg, father, husband,
God.
and he's just like, recapture the magic one more time. Maybe he has one last spear in him, one last jackhammer. but he's going against Brock Lesnar, who has been unbeatable, who's been da-da-da. He's like framing it like this like Titanic clash of fucking
I mean, that sounds awesome though. That's like,
I'm hearing this and I'm like, do I gotta rewatch this shit? Like, what the fuck?
one of the best things they made was it's, I don't know what it's called. They did a like WWE Network documentary about Goldberg and WCW. I think it's called like The Streak or something like that. And I recommend, even if you don't like Goldberg, which I get it, he says a lot of dumb shit and he's Goldberg, but it is an amazing documentary because it's one of the few times where it wasn't like a Vince. You can tell that they kind of slid it underneath the powers that be because they actually celebrate how cool it was. Like,
yeah,
they got that. Dude, people say WCW didn't make stars, bro. Fucking Goldberg was a star in 2016. Like, they did okay with Goldberg, man.
It's pretty fucking nuts.
Yeah, man. They went back. How many times did WWE go back to him in the 2010s? It's crazy. And the 2020s. Fuck.
Holy shit. Yeah. All of the strength of like the success of the first like 5 months. Like,
yeah.
The first 5 months it went so well, they just kept doing it like to middling results.
To lesser and lesser results.
Like, pretty much every other time after like was not very good, except for 2 moments. You know what those 2 moments are, Joe?
I think you probably liked one of the Lasher matches, right? Probably.
Yeah. The Saudi Lashley match is one of the best matches of his career.
I don't know if I've seen that match. I honestly never watched it.
I think it actually is the highest rated Meltzer, but Goldberg. Technically.
That rules.
Which is peak Dave-flation for the record, but yeah, I think Dave went 3 3/4 on it. I'm pretty sure it's the highest rated Dave Meltzer Goldberg match.
That's got to be one of his last matches, right?
What did he do after that? He faced
Roman.
Roman.
It's his second to last match.
Really?
His last match was Roman. That was it.
That sucked. He should have went out on the Bobby match. It's really good. He does the spear off the stage.
I remember the first Bobby match where Bobby beat the shit out of his son.
That shit fucking sucks. Joe, pull up that SummerSlam card.
SummerSlam 2021. All right,
I always say, Kwame, this is the card I cite when people say the product hasn't gotten any better.
Okay, this was in front of 45,000 people in Vegas. All right, here we go. Okay, I've immediately seen a match here that's very funny. All right, we'll get the first match. I'm sure was okay. RK Bro over AJ and Omos tag title change. I'm sure that was okay.
It was there. It was all right. It was okay.
All right, then we got to a Mac Classic because Eva Marie wrestled Alexa Bliss on SummerSlam. Why was that on SummerSlam?
Bro.
3 minutes 50, by the way, which makes it even funnier.
When I got booked, I remember at the time declaring this could be the worst match of all time.
Was it like actually terrible? Because I don't think I've seen it, but I've seen it happen. It's sure that must have saved them a little bit, right?
It's disappointingly regular bad and not all time bad.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because they probably produced the fuck out of it, right? Like, there's no way they let Eva go out there and
they produced it and got as much as they could out of her, which was about 3 minutes.
Yeah. So this is the time of the Lily doll, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
In the build, the Lily doll was winking at this person.
Okay. This match was good. Damian Priest and Sheamus. I remember watching that. That was good.
It was okay.
They clobbered each other. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
The Usos and the Mysterios.
Very disappointing. I was excited for this.
Yeah.
That was incredible, and it was just fine.
The Usos took a while to get in any kind of rhythm in that tag title. When they first came back, they looked like pretty slow. And I know that they've kind of gone back to that now, but in 2022 and early 2023, they did get in a good rhythm.
Yes.
Then we had the Becky Lynch business with Bianca Belair.
Exactly.
Drew McIntyre over Jinder Mahal, Bob. Listen to this, bro. How many triple threats has Charlotte worked at SummerSlam? Listen to this. Charlotte Flair, Nikki ASH, and Rhea Ripley.
What the fuck?
Nikki ASH, dude. Good God. Edge and Seth Freakin. It's got a good rating.
I think this match is actually really awesome.
There you go. Bob Lasher and Bill Goldberg. And then
Very
the main event, Roman Reigns, John Cena, which I remember not being a big fan of, but Dave gave it 4.25. So what do I know?
Well, they did a bunch of AA kickouts, and Dave loves those. You know,
That was at the point. Like, I remember at that point just concluding that I'd probably seen enough John matches, you know, because he don't look the same anymore. Don't feel the same.
Mm-mm.
He's kind of comes off weird in wrestling. It's like it's a strange thing that's happened to John. I don't really understand why it's happened, but it's definitely happened.
You know what's remarkable about it, though, Joe? All the things you said is correct. And John in 2021, this diminished John Cena is leagues above the John Cena that wrestled in the last 2 years.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's
Like,
he just doesn't seem to really care really that much. Which I mean, I get. I wouldn't either, but
it's so self-parody, you know. Like,
yeah.
to the point where you can't even put him in serious things anymore. That's why, like, I don't know if you remember the Raw Mania. They threw him in there with like the Awesome Truth because he's like a meme.
Yeah, I think he's fully aware of it too. I don't
Yeah,
think
he laughs at himself as he's like wrestling and shit.
Yeah, like when he teamed with LA Knight, he just got the shit kicked out of him and made the tag. Like he's very. I think he's kind of remarkable how selfless he is. For most top guys, if you ask them to do that match he did with Solo, they'd tell you go fuck yourself, dude. Like he got the hell beat out of him, dude.
You just reminded me of that tag at Fastlane. Holy shit!
Still going on, I think.
What the fuck? They went like 30 minutes.
Jim Uso, Solo Sikoa.
They went like 30 minutes for what amounted to Cena gets beat up. He tags LA Knight. LA Knight does his comeback, and then they win. Why does
Cena was yelling spots, dude.
Why does that go longer than 6.5 minutes?
Cena was like, I remember Solo dragged him to the corner for like the bonsai or whatever. And Cena was like, slow, take it slow.
Yo, when he faced him in Saudi and he got the Samoan spike, Cena pops up from the spike and he's like, another one!
Again.
Again! It's like, what the fuck?
He will never top the one when he came back for that like Christmas SmackDown. It was him and Kevin, I guess, versus Sammy and Roman.
Oh, that match rocks. I can't lie.
It's beast, but remember his spot calling that where he's like, okay, slow, take it. And the camera was like zoomed in and for some reason just kept it on him. It was crazy.
He's talking about when he was like teasing the tag, right? Like,
yeah, he was like, okay, take it slow. Here we go. And they just left the camera on him. When was that? Is that 2021?
December 2022.
2022, yeah.
Yeah, it was his first appearance in Triple H's WWE.
Oh, shit. The Paul Levesque era?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard about that on Talking Shop, but they talk about the Paul Levesque era. Yeah.
I think on that same show, Charlotte showed up and just squashed Ronda Rousey.
Ronda Rousey, that was an interesting adventure, wasn't it?
What was she all about?
Dude, it will be you talk about someone whose legacy has changed. It will now be totally lost to history that she was like kind of a natural.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
She was really good initially, dude.
Yeah, her first run was like awesome, and she's like seen as like a loser now.
Her selling was so good in that first run.
Dude, I remember in awe that she had good matches with like Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax.
Have I ever told you the story about the Alexa Ronda match I was at? I must have told you this. I forget. I'm getting old.
I don't think so.
So it was a double main event. This is pop. Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, Ronda Rousey and Alexa Bliss. This is a house show, bro. This was a sellout. They had like 15,000 in there for a fucking house show.
Mm-hmm.
So this is probably Ronda's, like 7th match, maybe? Like she's hardly wrestled. Right. At SummerSlam, they did like a squash, and they were going to do a real match at the next pay-per-view, which is one of the matches that Alexa Needy died in. And Alexa used to do that spot. It's like a classic heel spot. Like she would stand on the babyface, right?
Yeah.
She steps on Ronda to do a taunt or whatever. And the referee counts. And Ronda didn't kick out. So for about we were about half a second away from Ronda Rousey losing the women's title. Because bro, the referees in WWE just count. They don't.
Yeah, it's a shoot. So
Alexa literally leaped off of Ronda because she almost pinned her to the mat in the first of a double main event in 2018, which will always stick with me. And kind of, I think, highlights how much Ronda was focusing on selling She was completely oblivious to the fact the referee was about to pin her. She's going to lose the title for a shoot, bro. It was almost real for a second there. So that was a time.
That's kind of beast.
It was pretty sick. Yeah.
I
It
remember
was an interesting match to watch because it was like you could tell they hadn't produced it the way they produced their payment. She was good though. Good. She was good, man.
Her match with Charlotte at Survivor Series 28.
Killer match. Yeah.
That was on. And funny enough, even though her second one was horrendous, her second match, or maybe third match coming back, the Backlash 2022 match with Charlotte, it was like a plunder match. I don't know if you remember that. That was very good.
Very physical, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just lost the intro. I mean, she's kind of told the story since, right? I mean, it is what it is. Like,
she's fucking good.
She probably shouldn't have come back. I mean, that's just... She seemed to lose heart with it at the end of it. When they were booing her, she didn't seem to fuck with that very much. And then,
yeah. Like before the first one ended, like she like clearly like she can't handle like being disliked. I guess I don't know. Like,
well, that was the thing. Was like, I think that's why that her first stuff was with Nia, and obviously it was Stephanie, Nia, and then Alexa, right? And I think it's because they probably realized like she's gonna have to get cheered, otherwise this could go very.
Go off the rails. You could see it in her, like she felt empowered, like when they're like cheering her on and shit like that, as she's doing arm bars and things. Once, like I not long ago, or it might have been months ago at this point, I stumbled on YouTube of her promo with like the man Becky Lynch when she was white hot in like 2019, and the crowd is so into Becky and they don't give a shit about Ronda, and she is so disturbed by this.
Yeah, I remember that set. I remember people being like, "This is their Tyson and Austin moment," and then they put Charlotte in it. Beast.
Right when Becky was white hot, you know.
We watched the on Grin Grappler. We covered the Revival match from that Raw. And the main event segment is like, "Will Becky apologize to the Authority?"
Oh my fucking god!
And throughout the show, they have like different characters advise Becky on what to do.
Oh my god!
Oh, it's fucking awful, dude. Like, like those, those segments where like they will like sit next to each other and it's framed like it's just horrid TV.
At that time, weren't they also letting it publicly be known that Jon Moxley is leaving WWE?
Early 2019 WWE is fucked because that's when they call up like Heavy Machinery. Nikki Cross, like all of these like NXT underneath talent, EC3, they all get called up and like they just kind of just sit on the roster
with no plan, like just because you know what it
EC3 was mute, bro. He didn't talk.
You know what it was? It was because the McMahons did that whole "we're gonna listen to you" thing, and then the Elite didn't come. They're like, "Fuck, all right, let's just bring up some NXT people."
Heavy Machinery.
Like what the? You know what I need to go back and watch for? I vaguely remember at Stomping Grounds 2019. Bryan Danielson has like the greatest Otis match of all time. And I think I want to say it's him and Rowan against Heavy Machinery. I might be wrong there.
That would make sense, yeah.
I vaguely remember
the timeline would match up, yeah.
I vaguely remember that being phenomenal.
But I'm sure, dude. I'm sure it was good. Tucker had great... People used to rave about him, and like the wrestlers used to rave about him.
I don't remember how good that guy... You know what's funny? I saw someone literally tweet, "Bring back Tucker." And I was like, really? Doesn't he kind of suck? Like,
so I never saw, like, I didn't watch him closely, but I do remember his rep was like he was the worker of the team because obviously Otis was very raw. I remember the boys like loved him, but I don't know. I don't think he still wrestles. I don't know.
Probably not. A lot of those guys got fired and gave up on wrestling. Fucking Elias. He gave it. He gave it like 3 dates and said, "Fuck this."
Do you know what was a bummer? We lost out on Riddick Moss, bro. We thought he was going to go to Japan.
That would have been funny.
We could have, if we'd have got him a cowboy hat and a visa, he'd have been fucking flying, bro.
Oh man, he would have done some damage in the Noah undercard tags.
Yeah, you remember Paul Lee loved him. Paul Lee was convinced Riddick Moss was going to be like the next big thing.
He beat Ricochet on Heyman's SmackDown. I mean, Heyman's Raw.
Raw, yeah.
My goodness.
When guys get released, it is like everyone's different. Right? Some guys will just vanish.
It's just crazy. Fucking who was the one that like went full like Rick Booz? I think it was the one that he got fired and like
the Wokes.
He went full like the Wokes and then just got and then he just went like, all right, well they're not policing this theory, so I'll just do more of it, you know. And
I saw the other day someone posted, they were like, NXT's got so much better, and the photo they used was a Mandy graphic. And like, I swear to God, I saw Mandy and was like, holy shit, dude. Like, where, like, that was like 2 years ago. It feels like a lifetime ago, right?
They like built NXT around this woman.
Yeah.
The strategy was, well, people think Mandy Rose is hot. We'll just make the show about her. And they're doing commercials where they would like zoom up her crotch and it would be like, NXT, different than you've ever seen it. And I was like, what?
It was crazy. Like, it feels, that's like a lost piece of history now, right?
Yeah.
Not that it needs to be remembered. It's just weird how these things like come and go.
Yeah. That reign wasn't any good either. It just.
Oh no, yeah.
It wasn't any good.
Does she wrestle? She don't wrestle, right? She doesn't wrestle.
No, she just like she teases showing you her nipple, and then like it's like $50. It's like
that's pretty based.
And she makes like so much more money now than she could ever hope to make.
In that case, God bless, don't bother wrestling, right? Why would you ever flat back if you could do that?
No, dude, you didn't remember the stories about how like she made like what was it, $500,000 in a week or some shit?
So like so that's the thing that she just still does. You don't have to wrestle. She just that's based.
No, never. She's like I might. Nope. Maybe next time.
I remember being convinced that Tony was gonna try like some sort of angle with Mandy, because remember the circumstance of Mandy's firing were like very controversial.
Yeah,
I was convinced that Tony was gonna attempt some sort of like big angle, I think
you're talking about Tony Storm. I was like, huh?
No.
I
thought Mandy was gonna get like, because at the classic, someone leaves WWE and they cut a live promo about it.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. Tony considered it.
I'm sure, bro. I have no doubt.
He considered it. He asked certain people. He picked their brain. Like, what do you think about this? He also considered signing the Bellas.
Well, he should consider that. That would be fucking awesome. Could you imagine what we could do with that, bro? Imagine the Brie versus who'd be the funniest? Brie versus Sky Blue match graphic.
That'd be terrible. But if it meant Bryan Danielson delays his retirement, I'm all for it.
Brie was when she came back that one time and she like punted poor Liv in the face, that was insane. That was a wild moment in time. She came back and it looked like she hadn't wrestled in like a decade. It was fucking nuts.
My favorite thing is to look up those wrestlers on Cage Match, press the rating button, and like the top matches, it'll say like 6, 5.7, 5.
Some of it is harsh because like sometimes
it's very it's circumstantial,
Yeah, like because sometimes I'll watch an old tape and like the Divas title match will come on. If you actually watch the match, like you think to yourself, they could actually have a good match. They're not allowed to have a good match.
Right.
I don't think Brie is one of those, to be clear.
Nikki got okay at the very end.
Like, I was watching something. Yeah, no, Nikki did. Yeah, Nikki got good, bro. She did, honestly. If you rewatched it now, she'd pop you, I think.
2016, I was into the Nikki Bella.
Yeah, she had some good matches with Natalya on there. When SmackDown had 6 women and they were all on TV, that was a crazy time.
Yeah, it was what was it? Becky, Naomi, Natalya, Carmella, Alexa Bliss,
and Mickey.
No, Nikki. Mickey was the 7th woman.
Eva. Did we say Eva? She was there.
Yeah, technically.
Remember Eva was supposed to win the belt?
Yeah. She was in that gimmick where she would come out there and then like not do anything. And it was supposed to like make you mad.
That's like a crazy like butterfly effect, because if she wins it, Becky doesn't win it. Which then it was like Becky, Alexa, then Naomi got her run. None of that, all of that changes if Eva Marie wins that belt, bro.
You know that, Joe? You know that meme of like the guy choosing between 2 buttons and being stressed about it?
Exactly.
So I ran into it here. It says, it's posted by Michael Sidgwick. He said, Triple H booking Penta in the Fed, and button 1 says spooky gimmick, and button 2 says team with and feud against fellow Mexicans. Pamphlets in the reply saying, Penta's coming in.
Triple H's spooky gimmicks are just leather jackets, though, right? He doesn't really flesh them out. Guys just wear leather jackets. And that's the end of it.
You don't watch Raw. You haven't seen Karrion Kross lately, and you've missed my newest character development.
Oh God,
I'll end my time on this podcast here.
Okay.
I don't want to see him wrestle. Right? Let me just.
Oh.
I don't want to see him wrestle. Right?
Mm.
But it kind of pops.
You're a nasty guy. All right.
He's basically the Triple H version of Learning Tree Jericho. What do I mean by that? He has an inexplicable just obsession with Xavier Woods. And an obsession with just making him like better and helping him realize his potential. And he's just running into the New Day and he's just kind of like, how many years of this, you know? How many years gonna let Kofi Kingston do this to your career? He's taken away from you, Kofi. Kofi, you could be so much better than this. Kofi, you know, and he'll tell Woods like, Kofi won a championship. Biggie won a championship. When is it your turn, Kofi? I mean, or Xavier? And Woods will make that like solemn, like I'm considering this face, and he'll be like, he'll walk away and be like, just remember, Woods, time is coming for us all. He'll like walk away, and you're like, oh, and he'll do that WWE camera pan to their face, and they're looking onto this, it's like pondering this, you know.
What match are they building to?
I don't know.
Cross and Kofi Kingston.
It's when you think about the framework of the story, it's genuinely the Triple H leather jacket version of Learning Tree Jericho. Like the beginning part where like this dude was just obsessed with Hook for no fucking reason.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast and they were like, Cross's character is like he's like this fucking mastermind guy who like he's ahead of the curve and he's like, you know, he's like pervading over everybody. He plays mind games and it's like so all these master plans ultimately is to break the New Day up? Like why?
Yeah.
Why do you give a fuck?
Add Xavier Woods to the Final Testament is the big plan.
And they've been booking AOP really strong. Like they're winning matches in short order, and they'll win, right? And they'll walk past Xavier, and he's like, "Think about it."
Fuck. So did they do AOP New Day? Is that what they just did?
Yeah, they killed him. Yeah,
They killed him.
They killed him. Yeah. Kofi in these segments, by the way, when fucking Cross talks to Woods, he'll walk away, and Kofi will walk up like, "Hey man, you all right, man?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm cool." He's like, what did he want? And he's like, "Don't worry about it."
Oh, Jesus. I'm never going to watch any of this. Awful. This sounds awful.
I'll tell you what, the acting in the segments is kind of good.
I refuse that. That's ridiculous claim. I refuse it. I'm glad we don't do this stuff on SmackDown.
Nick Holmes this is going to accidentally spill into a pay-per-view and you're going to be forced to see some of it.
I won't watch it. I'll just say it's pretty good on my wide.
You're going to see it in the video package.
In about an hour, I'm going to do a Dynamite review and every match is that's pretty good. Charlie, you got any booking?
She cracks her knuckles, you know.
Yeah.
Goes to work there. Oh man.
We should actually wrap now, right?
Oh, I should. You could hang out.
I'll do like an extended outro, so I can come plug all my shit. But Ibou, now's your time. Anything you want? Any final words before you go, mate? Go for it.
I was trying to think of something profound to say. I have nothing. I don't know. Let's see here. I got nothing. I'm gonna recommend a comic book to people.
Good.
All right. So, Uncanny X-Men 139 and 140. This is post Dark Phoenix saga. Jean Grey has died. Cyclops has left the X-Mansion because he's depressed and he's overcome with grief. Kitty Pryde has just joined the team, and she's coming of age as she's finding her way in the world as a young 13-year-old Jewish mutant girl. But this story primarily focuses on Wolverine. And it's in this story that we find out some of his origins, including his real name, Logan. Wolverine takes a trip to Canada because his services are needed. He comes across some old friends. Nightcrawler accompanies Wolverine, and they encounter some interesting shenanigans as they fight a demonic magical beast called the Wendigo. 2-part story, really, really fun. Some swashbuckling, some great artwork, some thrills. Some laughs, might even make you cry a little bit at the end as the X-Men ponder their place in the world as mutants.
Dude, that's the
139.
most enthusiastic you sounded in the whole program. You sounded fired up to talk about it. I love it.
It fucking rocks. 139, 140. Story by Chris Claremont. Art by John Byrne. Inks by Terry Austin. Pencils by John Byrne. Fucking lettering by Tom Orzakowski. Lovely, lovely piece of business, this deal. Track it. Find it.
There you go. There you go, folks. You heard it here first. All right, Ibou, thanks for joining me, bro. I'm gonna wrap up here separately, but
All right.
have a
Fuck the
good
Celtics.
evening, mate.
Later.
Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed that. That was very, very late notice. We appreciate everyone that showed up. I think we announced it like 7 minutes before go time. And we were going to go an hour and a half, and we actually went 2 hours and 35 minutes. I don't really know what we talked about, but I believe there was some professional wrestling conversational content in there. If you did enjoy this, please do hit the thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. There is not consistent content on this channel, if I'm being honest with you. It's basically when my schedule allows. Sometimes you'll get them some match reviews, which are very snazzy. Go check those out on the channel. They are edited by the great Tope Suicida. So go watch those. We covered Bobby Roode and Roddy Strong. We covered Kurt Angle and Mr. Anderson. And we covered the first one was Samoa Joe and Finn Balor from NXT TakeOver London. So go watch those. Also, I am live on Wrestle Purist in about an hour and 20 minutes to review Dynamite. I am the host, which means I do not have to give opinions. I will simply throw to Chuck and AO of Wrestle Purist. And then tomorrow night, folks, this is big time, actually. Let me quickly pull this up on the screen because I want to stress everyone the importance of this. I know it was a big draw and the casual fan. Look at this here on the screen. Look at this, folks. Here we go. This is a bracket. I understand the text's a little small, but bear with me. This is a bracket of the Oracle of Wrestling's favorite wrestlers. Tomorrow night at 11:05 Eastern on the Late Night Grin, on the Late Night Grin YouTube channel, we will be going through this bracket one by one, matchup by matchup, until there is only one grappler standing. Now, again, look at these. Look at this. Eddie or Ray, AJ or Punk, Bockwink or Hanson, Danielson or Funk, Hart or Flair, so on and so forth. And that's just round one. Tomorrow night, tune in. The Late Night Grin. We'll be going through it. 11:05 Eastern. Fired up. Can't wait to do that with the pals, with the grinners. So that's what we have to look forward to. Sunday, also on the Late Night Grin, NXT Battleground Grin Along. If you're watching Battleground and you want to hang out with us two fucking idiots, myself and Oracle, that is, we'll be there, ready to go. So with that in mind, we hope you've enjoyed this program. Here's a very funny image from our past. This one did pop me, by the way. Darby or Rhea. Favorite wrestlers, bro. When I do my bracket, there'll be a bunch of gimmies, right? A bunch of quirky faves in there, no doubt. But nonetheless, this has been Joe Hulbert Promotions presents Hanging with Hulbert. It had been way too long. Thanks to everyone who joined us. As I said, like, subscribe. If you can do us a big favor, comment as we leave. But most importantly, thanks for the house, folks. I'll see you over on the Wrestle Purist. Have a great evening. Goodbye.